Nobody snooze, don't be. I was seizing opportunity. Now they don't know what to do with me. I keep going hard like I'm in puberty. Rebellions in my blood, there ain't no ruling me. Coming for the top, this is a mutiny. Don't know what to do with me.
look at people and I wonder all day, who are you and you are not the one in your way. And then I think about myself and I stayed. I'm a pretty boss who bounce your brain waves. I'm a freak in the sheets, but I got class. I'ma grab an ass if you want it. Best you ever had, give it to you back. Ooh. I'm the girl that they don't talk about. Quiet with a big mouth. Listen for the doubt, then call it. Make you out for what you say to me. Look at every single date. If you got what I need, then oh, I'll take you on like a big deal. Legs you can unseal. Key ignition. Just keep me full like I had a meal once in a while. Feel alright. I know you like it. Can't fight it. I might let you ride the wave. I'm New York and you're LA. Come together, feel the shock waves.
Three, two.
Welcome everybody. Welcome everybody to CBA Season 7. I am here with my good buddy Imperium. How you doing tonight, Imperium?
I'm doing pretty good. I had a little bit of a nap earlier on, and I'm just kind of really waking up from the nap. But I'm, of course, ready to watch some pretty awesome collegiate PUBG action.
And just to clarify, NAP, not to be confused with NAPS, the premier North American Pro Scrims League, which you can find, I'm sure, information in the CBA Discord. So, Imperium, I know that you probably had a long day considering that you cast all of the PUBG things. You had a nap. That's great. That's great. I'm excited.
Yep.
How are you feeling for tonight?
I'm feeling pretty good. Obviously, you know, looking at how the teams have performed and somewhat the overall standings, you know, like kind of getting the elephant in the room out of the way. Concordia are running away with this. Straight up, they're running away with it. They're on 171 points in 12 games. Their average point is like 14.25 compared to second place. Nothing against them. North Carolina State have really put up a good running, but their average is only 9.67. So really, like Concordia are absolutely, yeah. You know, if they lose this now, I know there's still like 8 games to go this weekend and next weekend, but it would be the biggest throw, NA from that point of view. But you know, other than that, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what the likes of Rochester can do, Southeastern and UC Berkeley, because I think they still have a lot to prove in these games and a lot to show us as well.
Yeah, you're right about the points. As I checked in and I was thinking that maybe someone should make Sneak Attack play like with his feet or something, you know? Since he does play in the Pro League.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not fair. I also are we sure that like Luke 12 isn't subbing in that we don't know about or something? We'll probably have to look into that. As we head into
make Sneak play with a blindfold.
Right. Or reverse hands, you know? Just has to switch it up. Yeah, play only by sound, right. I'm sure Sneak would love that. I hope that tonight that we I really get to see. So I love last season. I really got into Rochester Institute. They were a really, really strong team, and that is one of the teams that I'm looking forward to come play tonight, as
Yeah.
well as St. Ambrose was also a favorite of mine, having watched last season. So those are two teams that I am very excited to pay attention to. As we check out the playing pad, look at that. That is almost a dead center, slightly off to the east side from north to south, as it ends over Los Leones just south of it.
Yeah, it's really not a bad playing path to start today. We do see Cincinnati instantly dropping to head towards the Le Cabriere, and what's great for them is nobody's really kind of dropped near them. So initially, they're going to have a fantastic, clear path into the circle, depending on where phase one pops up. We do see UBC dropping down on the eastern side, British Columbia, going for a little bit of a split drop to start the day off, and that's always valuable in Miramar, and I'm okay with that. But if you do split drop too far away, it can take too long for you to join up with your teammates, and that can be lost time rotating into a stronger position inside circle. But other than that, teams are, give or take, somewhat, avoiding each other and respecting each other.
Well, except in south, if we look at Puerto Paraiso, we do have what looks to be maybe an early fight between Concordia. Is Concordia going to look to get some early points here?
It's definitely interesting to see what Concordia are going to be able to do in the Puerto Paraiso area. Of course, trying to deal with SAU is going to be a little bit tricky, but look, it's Concordia, right? So they instantly have the upper hand. So I'm expecting them to do this fairly swiftly.
Yeah, we see Crimson has landed just west of them up the hill at those compounds to the west of Puerto Paraiso. So they definitely could have an advantage. I'm not sure how much that Concordia knows that Crimson went there, but if they don't, then that could really come into play and really help out, at least keep Concordia in check early on. Considering that Puerto Paraiso having two teams here is not something I would say that is common, and could cause issues for both teams going forward. As I say that, let's take a look at the ring as we zoom out the map, and that is a fairly southwestern ship. There's only 4 teams in it at the moment, so you're going to have quite a few rotations coming in, especially coming around through Picado or those streets that lead into it. Maybe going through Los Leones as well, but there's too many teams around that area.
It is going to be one of those rotations for a lot of teams where they are going to have their wits about them on their rotation, right, in the sense of taking it step by step. Cincinnati do have a clean rotation in the circle, because what they can do is they can take the main road on the western side of this Miramar map, go down through El Pozo, and then come in onto the high grounds down the south of Monte Nuevo. The timing of that rotation is still going to be important, because not only the earlier they get there, the more information they're going to be able to gather, but even just the time it is going to take to execute that rotation will take a little bit of time. What's going to be important for the side of UC Berkeley is that they do recognize the fact that right now they are pretty much in the center of this phase one, and because they're on a 1-1-1-1 split, if they leave it too late to join back up together and 2 or 3 teams wrap around them, they could see themselves getting swiped out and punished. So they do need to recognize this and join up before the blue zone really starts closing in and forcing those teams into the circle around them. Seeing what Magnum can do with Ginger Jesus swiping up behind him. His footsteps would have been heard by Magnum on the location of Ginger Jesus. What I like is that Magnum is yet to really kind of make a noise around that building, so there could be that element of surprise for this UC Berkeley player. But I think Ginger Jesus is also aware of the fact that there is somebody inside this building now, and he does have to tread his steps with a lot of caution, Trey.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm not sure how much Frodo is able to take a peek as he's up on the hill. Across the street, though, not super close, as I say that, Mitchy Boy looks to be driving in to give support to Magnum. So the longer that Ginger Jesus waits, the worse it looks for him here, as the rest of Cal is going to start to rotate in and help out here. And as I say that, Ginger Jesus taken out by Mitchy Boy, and looks like the situation has, I guess, been resolved, so to speak.
Sorry. I'm just trying to. There you go. I was genuinely trying to. It's one of the first times kind of having a strong look at the observer, because I'm used to being able to see what the broadcaster sees. But yeah, good start at least by UC Berkeley getting rid of Ginger Jesus right off the bat. Not only gives them a little bit more of a firm control inside the circle, but it just allows them to join back up with the rest of the team in a bit of a quicker fashion, loot up Ginger Jesus's body, and walk their way into a more central position inside the circle.
So if we look just northeast of Monte Nuevo, it looks like that Fizzle and Cozy have spotted out Big Penguin TV as Gribbles has rotated in, and they've kind of gotten to the situation where they've had to flee. It looked like it might be worse, but I guess you can call this okay, considering they got out of there alive, even though they're split.
It's short-term success, long-term yet to really know how they're going to join back up as a full squad. What I like is that they're still not afraid to take shots at teams around them, looking to push back the side of NCSU. So that's really good stuff coming out from Beast and the two-man team of Louisiana State, as we'll have to wait and see how the rest of the team kind of looks to join up with them. So time will tell, as of course the blue zone's closing in, so it is, as I talked about, automatically sending teams towards the circle, either in the center or inside it. Some rotations coming out mainly from the teams on the eastern side. There's a lot more space on the west, so we are seeing the likes of Norwich, Cakesterman, and the rest of their side having to dice a little bit with death as they come to around the southern part of Los Leones.
Yeah, it looks like we have quite a few teams there. If we look just south of Los Leones, we do have Fear the Fork, who is quite near. He's rotated in near its view, and they were trading shots there for just a moment. Panda, as well as the rest of the team is going to be rotating in, which hopefully will help to kind of stem that tide of Fear the Fork being there by himself initially. As UBC there has and knocked him as he tries to get away and try to rotate out. Excellent shot there by its view, not letting him escape, and they get an early point there.
And that is one of the excuse upon one of the fears of rotating a little bit late inside the circle, even on phase one, especially because there has been a little bit of a pattern of teams maybe leaving a little bit too late to rotate into these early circles. So we are seeing kind of a closer 3 or 4 teams being towards the edge of these phase one, phase twos, as opposed to more directly in the center. But as phase two is about to pop up, not gonna lie, I would love to see a shift down south towards Los Higos, just add a little bit of spiciness.
You wouldn't believe the amount of times I get told that as I'm hosting PCS games, that anytime I get the circle, is that they always just say, give me that Los Higos circle, give it to me. And then when it doesn't, I get told they're disappointed in me. Shout out Primrose. Yeah. As I say that, it looks like UBC has confronted the rest of Florizona State.
So definitely seems like we're seeing a few teams getting a bit closer to each other. I'm most notably looking towards St. Ambrose, that are close to Norwich, but again, both teams are kind of going into the circle, so they're not really getting closer too much to each other. But definitely Gribs and the rest of Midwest are going to have to respect the fact that Louisiana State have all 4 members inside the circle, as Vincentelli takes a bolt action shot towards one of the members of the Midwest, but nothing really connecting as of yet.
No, the only thing that we see connecting is it looks like Beams was run over by his own teammate as you look there in the kill feed. However, getting back to this, we have LSU in the Midwest, right? These are two very, very strong teams, right? Just absolutely, just ridiculous. I mean, we have a few pro players in here, and if anybody paid attention to last season, LSU was just a monster of a team. And Midwest Dribbles, you got Fizzle. I mean, this team is stacked as well. It is definitely what you would consider an early, like, just clash of titans, so to speak, when it comes to these teams early on. And whoever to come out of this, I don't expect them to be unscathed, even when winning.
I love the fact that Fizzle was able to execute that rotation close to Gribbles, right? Because not only does that allow that kind of 2-2 split the support to come through in case one of those gets knocked, but you're adding an extra element of pressure onto LSU. Right now, even though both these teams are inside the circle, Louisiana have to be very careful of how they peek every single window on these buildings, because now Delta joining up as well, just to consistently kind of surprise Louisiana and keep them on thin ice. Otherwise, they're going to get caught out by Midwest, and we know how strong Midwest are, that they will look to take advantage of any kind of knock towards any of these teams.
Yeah, as we see, it looks like Colsey is rotating in, so that way all four members now are on the other side, inside the circle. So even if this this takes extended time to play out, which it looks like it might, as they're both kind of just taking pot shots at each other, nobody really risking anything, as Midwest seems to be okay with gatekeeping and having the, I guess, upper hand, so to speak, in this situation, so that when the next circle pops, is that it's most likely going to have to force LSU back or out and rotating away. And I would expect that that is what West is playing for here, is that hopefully that they can take advantage of that.
Florizona, FSU were in a little bit of a rapid fire fight against a rotating Southeastern. Southeastern did get further ahead. They did capture a knock onto Florizona, but because those smokes were executed relatively quickly, and because Southeastern do have to now think about their position inside this next phase that did shift up north, they're not looking to take that fight against Florizona. And I think that's quite intelligent from Southeastern, considering where they are in the overall standings and how they do need to try as much as possible to shorten that gap against Concordia.
Yeah, and especially considering that the way that the ring shifts here is that they realize that they're rotating up or north, I should say, and that they actually had a very late rotation in, and that probably has not only cost them in meds, but it also has cost them position. So it looks like they are deciding that this fight is not worth it at this point, and that getting strong position in the next circle, or as strong as position they can, considering where they were when the circle popped, being up north, that get there and try to make the best of the situation. And right as we see that, it looks like they are trying to get the south edge of it. And funny enough, we talked about LSU and Midwest. The circle bump and it shifted, and they're still in it. So it looks like LSU has not paid any price going for.
But the one thing I would worry about with Midwest is that they do need to think about teams that are coming in around them from the southern side. We'll have to wait and see how that does play out for them. Rochester are in a little bit of a firefight, pushing back the side of Ontario, closer to both LSU and Midwest. So that's pretty good stuff coming out from Rochester, creating a little bit more space inside the circle, but having UBC, British Columbia, kind of ahead of them a bit inside the circle is something that they, of course, will have to think about.
Yeah, Crop and Flu are going to have to rotate in. You would think at around this time in the circle, you would want to group up if possible, especially considering that you're going to have so many teams pushing in, and it's just going to be smaller and smaller, and the chances of you getting caught out or being in a bad position only amplifies as time goes on. Speaking of which, it looks like Beams is now taking shots as we look at the south side in their position, and we have them trying to hold on, even though you can see that Cal has noticed or heard the shots at the very least. As they look down, Mitchy Boy and them are looking due south, but it looks like they've decided to get a position, and it may end up turning into a good decision if they can get an early elimination of another team.
Yeah, definitely. But as the circle has shifted up, it's shifted up down towards the northwestern area, Trey, and it's really gone against mostly teams. Not only has it gone away from Chumacero, which is automatically hard because you're disengaging away / around the city terrain into the open field, but most of the teams are outside the circle. Concordia have reacted straight away going through Cincinnati, but they have lost Culpeper along the way. And then, of course, we have seen UEC looking to defend their area inside the circle.
Yeah, so Culpeper is going to go down. So Concordia is going to be down one player. It was a strong, I guess, move. I would say brave to rotate in there, and I'm surprised Sneak Attack got through the way he did. It almost feels like UC was caught off guard there. As they then rotated in, I'm surprised they got 3 people through. And now it looks like UC is going to have to take with NCSU here, as they have noticed, and UC is going to have to rotate in. And it looks like NCSU is going to potentially gatekeep as they get 1 knock already.
Man, they put the hurt onto Cincinnati as well in some way, shape, or form. They're the gatekeepers of the southern part of the circle, in my opinion. Yeah, okay, you are seeing Southeastern take their own little fight against LSU outside the circle, but time's ticking down. The blue zone's starting to close in. You need to in some way clean up this fight, Southeastern, if you're going to stay inside this game. And indeed, that's exactly what they do, eliminating Norwich and creating just a tiny bit of space, as they look to make their way inside this Phase 4 circle.
Yeah, and as we see here, if we're still watching NCSU, Cincinnati's going to have to move in. And I cannot believe they got that far so fast. Eric Brisket goes down and gets killed, but they drove right past. It looks like Bigaholic is going to go down as well. Oh man, Edge is not in a great position. Just a strong sneeze might knock him at this point. As NCSU is just taking shots left and right, and Blockhead is the only person rotating out, and he's actually moving right into Rochester, and he is going to come up right on Hershey, and he then gets knocked. This has gone from bad to worse for Cincinnati, as Edge is the only one left, and now I hope that he can snake.
Desperate times call for desperate measures, Trey. That was just the way it was for Cincinnati. And Blockhead, if he had stopped even just for a bit before he kept on going in that bike, he would have kept on surviving. But NCSU Beck is going to be taking shots, does get that knockdown onto Chaotic, and Crimson is going to get the knockdown onto Beams. And Southeastern are finding themselves under a hell of a lot of pressure with just Pluie, the last player standing for that Southeastern side.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised that Cal didn't take advantage of the situation, considering that both those teams had to go through them, and they kind of just weren't aggressive there. I feel like they're very lucky that it played out the way it had. It could have been much worse for them, as they let the situation come to them as opposed to dictating it and putting pressure on both those teams. And now it looks like NCSU is going to finish off Cincinnati, put Edge out of his misery. And NCSU now has quite a few kills as we are about to head in, or as they look to rotate into the circle.
Yeah, we're down to 17, 22 players alive. It's looking pretty good for NCSU. They're on 7 kills so far in this game. As I talked about, the gatekeepers of the southern part of this circle. Span Cargo does go down for California, which is a bit of a feels bad man indeed. As Midwestern, we talked about their position inside the circle earlier on, and they've been at least very protective, sticking together as a full squad, and I really like how Western are playing this game and this position on the northeastern part of this phase 5.
They haven't overreached or tried to force the situation too much. And from what we were able to tell, it looks like they did put a hurt on LSU, as LSU only has, I guess, one player left at this point. Although Concordia has spotted out Colsey as he's taking shots across that valley from one ridge to another. And we'll see now with Rochester on one side, and it looks like Concordia having spotted out and looking to take advantage of the hype they have here as they spotted out Regime, Sneak Attack does. We'll see how Midwest plays this. And speaking of which, it looks like Winlow has been downed by Cal State, as they're now going to move in. We'll see how they play this.
UC Berkeley are doing what they can to hold on to the edge of the road. They're getting punished once again by NCSU. I can't really speak any more highly of how well NCSU are realistically playing in this game. The control, the proactiveness, as they realize that they have to be dominant on this position inside the circle. Midwest are eliminated. Rochester are going to bring the pain. And that's going to be the end of them, as Rochester will survive as a full squad once they get the revive onto Hershey. Nicely played by Rochester. They are now the keepers of the northeastern part of this circle.
I mean, you at least got to think they took the title by force, and that was so fast that I'm not even sure that we cut that the way they just swept in and just in the blink of an eye. Midwest, who seemed to be in such a strong position, playing well, was just now out. As it looks like NCSU, I'm not sure, is in the best position here, where you have Concordia with the high ground now taking shots at them as they look over both UCF and NCSU. I think the wild card here is, where is Michiboy going to rotate in, and can he put pressure on anyone else, and which take their attention away, and which another team can third party this, which could be Rochester, could be Concordia at this point.
For Michiboy, I would recommend just doing whatever he can, just kind of hover around the blue zone, right? As in just kind of wait for that to get to his back and then move in as the blue zone is closing. Maybe take a tiny bit of blue zone tick damage, because I think as the last man standing for his side, he can't really get too close to NCSU. He's got to hope that maybe Rochester puts more pressure onto NCSU. NCSU are definitely protected against UCF 150%, and they're also kind of protected against Concordia for the time being. But I actually really like NCSU's position on the southern edge of the circle, as Michiboy gets spotted out by Hershey and he's going to be eliminated. Down Berkeley go, and we are up left with 4 teams standing.
Yeah, Rochester decided to rotate south, and that sent Michiboy back to the main menu screen, and also may be trouble for NCSU, as we see that they are out now clashing, as it looks like both teams are trading. I don't even know how Soto Void actually is still alive. Can you even see life on that bar? I cannot. That's impressive.
Now NCSU are going to be somewhat stabbed in the back. They can kind of gatekeep Rochester, but Rochester, they're going to be great job trading back and forth. Hershey goes down. He's going to be a little bit too deep for his liking. Pseudo Void does get off a well executed first aid kit. Crop GG is further behind, but he's trying to get his own first aid kit off. The blue zone is going to be ticking down. Beck is doing a great job, having a fantastic game. He's the last player standing for his NCSU side. Can he close out this 1v2 against Rochester? Molotov gets fired out. Beck is going to be forced back. Another grenade is going to be cooked up. But it seems like Rochester are actually not looking to take this fight. They're trying to kind of wrap around Beck to get inside the circle. Of course, maybe look to gatekeep Beck and turn the tables onto NCSU.
I think they realized that once Sneak Attack was able to knock Iceman and then steal that kill, they realized that they were in the great position to push this fight. Is that Concordia definitely has enough of a line of sight in which that they can actually play spoiler to both these teams. As we see Regimes go down like Rupp, and it looks like Beck is going to have to take him out. Now will Beck be able to finish? Oh no, he went for the flush on Crop instead of looking for the last player on Rochester, and he pays dearly for it. Now, all we have left is Concordia with the high ground, and the circle, conveniently, still with them in it. And it looks like they clearly sacrificed something of high value to the Circle Gods today, as they're in it as well as Nomad Rep, and we have looks like just 6 players left alive, 3 teams. UCF, we'll see how this goes for them. It could turn out very well for them, but they need to make sure that they're not playing too passive, because if you do in situations like this is when things come come back to bite you, so to speak.
Yeah, definitely. For Central Florida, yeah, they do have the protection of those compounds. They even do have the logo, which I really think is more of an advantage coming into the late stage of the game. But because they are only 2 members up, they might not exactly know how many more teams are left, right? Yes, they're aware of Concordia, who are up as a 3-man team. Yes, they are somewhat aware of the fact that there was a team to the western part of, or southwestern part of their location, but Pseudo Void is going to go down. Rochester Institute of Technology are going to be eliminated, and we have our final 2 teams of game 1 in week 4 of the CBA.
Yeah, Void kind of peeked up and let his position be known, then tried to take shots. Whereas in a situation like that, where you're the high ground, the last thing you want to do is give Concordia knowledge of your whereabouts, because that's the one advantage you have right there as a single player, right? To kind of take advantage of that. And now all that's left is UCF and Concordia. We'll see how this plays out. It's very hard for a team that have not played very aggressive, considering their circumstances, losing members on, to then turn it on at the very end of a game, right? So
yeah,
we see that they get a knock, but will that change anything about the situation?
I think what it is the side of Central Florida, they know that they right now have this circle advantage. Yeah, Concordia don't have far to go, but the most important part, or the most worrying thing for Concordia, is that they have to go downhill. Now, Morns is inside the bike. He's going to be looking to send himself down that hill to maybe get a little bit of an off flank angle onto Central Florida, which is great, because if he can suppress either Oogie Boogie or Nomad Wrath to the point where he creates a little bit of time for Sneak and Flashy to make their way down the hill, that would be so valuable to Concordia. But they've got to thread that very lightly. And yeah, okay, they're in the truck, and that truck is going to be sent down the hill, but at the end of the day, all you're doing is you're really highlighting your position towards Central Florida, as Nomad Beth going to look to cook up a Molotov, maybe a grenade towards Flasher. Flasher gets knocked down by Oogie Boogie with the MK14, leaving Concordia with 2 players left.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised that they were able to get that far, considering that, as you said, they took the truck. That gives away your position at that point. And it looks like, looks to throw a flash as he's going to try to look in the window. He thinks they're out. Oh, and nice. As he comes around the corner, sneak attack was blocked by Flash, and Nomad Wrath gets both players down. The situation has been completely flipped. I'm just, my mind is blown in this situation.
It was overall so well executed by Nomad Wrath. He sniffed an opportunity. He had to take that chance, that opportunity. It could have gone against him, right? Sneak attack could easily have turned it around and sniped his head off, because that flash grenade was so well executed from Nomad. It allowed him to get that double knock, that double kill, and it leaves Morons as the last player standing for the side of Concordia. 1v2 in the favor of Central Florida. Down goes Morons. He's going to go right into the side of the building. Is he going to be able to take on Oogie Boogie? Inside the building he goes. Nomad Wrath has to join up with Oogie Boogie to provide some kind of support, as Morns is doing everything he can to gain control. He's not taking this lightly. He knows his back is against the wall. He plays around the side of the building. Grenade being cooked up, not going to connect onto Morns. Phase 9 is closing in. This is the last phase of the game by the tractor, and we do see Morns going down, and Central Florida take this first chicken dinner of the day.
And Nomad Wrath really coming in clutch there at the end, finishing off the team. Like, just the last 3 kills, Concordia all by himself. I mean, granted, it's not all by himself. He had a teammate there, but getting the 3 kills there That was quite impressive.
Yeah, 110%. Central Florida kind of played that late game perfectly. Could Concordia have maybe been um a little bit different on that late game push into the compound? Yeah, 110%. They definitely could have. But at the end of the day, that 1-1 split, which was a bit risky from Central Florida, was well executed because they were constantly kind of proactive, right? They weren't camping inside those houses. Oogie Boogie was a constant threat from that side angle, providing that support to Nomad Wrath. And the Nomad Wrath, as I talked about, with that flash grenade after that knockdown onto Flashia was absolutely perfect. And I can't really fault Central Florida's result and that end game, just really well executed.
I mean, I think they played it well for the disadvantage they're at right there. Is that it looked like Concordia, instead of going for the res, not knowing where the other players were, right, for the last team.
Yeah.
Is that going for that res is kind of a risky play in that situation, and that it seemed like that kind of strays away from their how the smart play they were doing so far, getting high ground, keeping out, like gathering that information there, right? Is that when they weren't able to gather the information in that moment, is that then when it came back to hurt them, and that might have been because of the 2-1 split, right? Is that they were unable to gather the information based off of the lack of line of sight, so to speak.
Well, the 2-1 split was good, but they had to be threatening with that 2-1 split, right? Whereas because they were a bit quiet, and yeah, Flashia got knocked down, but I thought that Morn's response was a bit slow. It was like hesitant, whereas in my opinion, if he had been instantly responsive on the bike, it's a fast vehicle. That bike goes from 0 to 60 in no time point of view. I think he probably could have joined up with sneak attack and gotten that counter knock onto.
Or just the noise of the bike coming in, right? Might have prevented from making that push, just because now all of a sudden you realize that there's a second player there that's not knocked. So it's absolutely. I'd like to say, so while we have this moment, if we may take a moment to talk about our sponsors, NAACL. Special thanks to NACL for sponsoring this season, for providing the top 8 teams with an invitation to the NACL Collegiate PUBG Grand Championship and a 1,000 cash scholarship prize pool. Players in NACL Collegiate PUBG Grand Championship will face off for an audition for the English Premier League's Wolverhampton Wanderers professional esports team, Wolves Esports PUBG division. Make sure to visit playnacl.com for upcoming esports tournaments. Keep up with NACL on Instagram at play.nacl and Twitter at playnacl. So we would like to thank them, our sponsors, for making this season possible, and just being supportive and the value they add to the community in general, like PUBG community. And Collegiate PUBG is a subset of the overall PUBG community.
Yeah. I think it's great that you have kind of, this kind of structure that's allowing teams to experience competitive gaming, not just like, with their friends playing, PUBG casuals. It's this kind of like competitive setting where you're up against 15 other universities, and you're kind of having to actually strategize and learn about opposing teams. I think there's always something to, like, these players and these teams can carry that forward to their real life perspectives, to their real life careers. I know that might kind of sound silly, but I think it's really cool that the CBA, is here and is being supported, and we are seeing these teams job. So I think it's a really kick-ass.
And on that note, we will take a short break before game 2 of the evening. Imperium, I just noticed here, looking at that, the amount of kills, I just want to say this before we look, Rochester University had in that game 1 is 17. Void had 7, Crop 5, Hershey 3, Iceman 2. That is absolutely ridiculous. And my mind, I'm just gonna be sitting here with a blank stare on my face during the break, looking at that.
Yeah, I was gonna talk about it coming into the second game, and yeah,
So
yeah.
I
There's
stole
much
your
to be
thunder,
talked
eh?
about. It's cool. It's cool. I'll allow it. I wanted the guys to salivate over the break before talking about it, but definitely insane game coming out from there.
I lost my best friend to 23. She left her body in Harvard above me. I saw no shadow. I looked around, searched every building and home that I found. I saw no shadow, but felt the glow. The warmth inside me, it kept me afloat. It felt like heaven had found my bones and gave me comfort when I feel alone. Now you're gone, I'm alone. I guess it's time to get better. Through the pain, I will go alone. If I fall, break my bones, I will scream even louder. 'Cause I'm not dying alone. I lost my best friend to 23. She left her body in Harvard above me. I lost my best friend to 23. I heard the heavens crying above me. They gained an angel, I lost a friend. I felt like dying again and again. I went through hell instead of death, but I keep fighting with each living breath. I saw no way out from where I stood. Felt like the fire had burned me for good. Now you're gone, I'm alone. I guess it's time to get better. Through the pain, I will go alone. If I fall, break my bones, I will scream even louder. 'Cause I'm not dying alone. I lost my best friend.
And we're back. We're about to drop in, or we're about to get into plane for game 2. As we see, actually, the almost opposite of the plane path from before. We're going from south to north, slightly west over military, and then it will end just west of Severny. And Miriam, looking at that after that first game tonight, Rochester University just had a monster of a game. I mean, 17 points alone off of kills. That is just astounding.
It was
And-
absolutely insane, man. Let's be fair, it was absolutely insane. Like Rochester just bringing the fire, bringing the thunder, bringing absolute, just constant aggression in the Miramar game. Yeah, 17 kills. It speaks for itself. Fantastic game. Should have been out. I should have highlighted them earlier, to be perfectly honest. But yeah, really credit to Rochester in that game one.
Yeah, and the worst part about that for about Ding getting so many kills and Floyd getting 7 kills is that it kind of overshadows Beck on NCSU, who got 6 kills alone himself. Sorry,
Yeah.
Beck. I guess better luck next time. But you had a great game. Okay, as we see the teams dropping now, it looks like we have numerous teams that are kind of somewhat close to each other. Pachinki looks like it's all free for LSU. We have Gadka that is kind of close. We look at Gadka, we have Blockhead there with Mitchie Boy very close to each other.
Yeah, not looking good for Cincinnati, or at least one of their players. Although Blockhead instantly runs away with that vehicle, just going, "No, screw this, I'm out, guys."
But he takes shots from Shane, and then Mitchie Boy's gonna, if he can escape with that vehicle, that's an excellent play as it denies Berkeley from a vehicle there.
And hey, look, he's gonna survive and join up with the rest of his team. Although in saying that, it's looking a little bit tricky for Feo, because he's also close to Fear the Fork.
Fear the Fork seems to like to be near other teams at the very beginning of games. Maybe it's just actually he could be the scout in this situation. Just trying to keep it out of the south side there and see the rest of his team.
Yes. Phase 1.
Well.
Military Island circle.
This kind of circle, you never know where it's going to go. It could still go north after like the third one, or it could still go south. So it's kind of like a toss-up. It's actually it makes for really interesting. I would say third and fourth circles, considering that depending how teams play it, as we saw with PCS3 NA last week, where there was one and I believe it was something like 11 teams had to shift north as the circle moved, as they all thought it was going to be military.
It is the kind of thing where for the teams that are outside the circle, you've got two options. You can either rotate super early into the circle, either down to Military Island or on the north on the mainland and close to Military Island, or you can wait until phase 2 pops up to give you a little bit more of an idea on where it's going to go, whether it's the mainland or the island. Of course, the risk of leaving it until phase 2 is that automatically there's going to be kind of 7, 8, 9 teams already, if not more, inside the circle. So it does make your rotation on phase 2 a little bit trickier. But once you're aware of that, I think it's actually okay waiting for phase 3 to pop up before in any way heading into the circle for the likes of NCSU, Central Florida, and of course Colsey and the rest of the Midwest team. So we'll have to wait and see how all those teams outside the circle do play this phase 1 position.
So, it looks like, okay. Well, we have Delta, and it looked for a second there that they were gonna get some shots on there. There might be a confrontation with Span, as Span looked to rotate in early, but as we change away to, as it looks like, we have Berkeley, right?
Yeah,
Berkeley, they are rotating in, and of course they're going to have to come across.
Nice.
Now, Blockhead with the stolen vehicle, which I'm sure they're not too happy about, and looking for revenge. And Fago gets knocked actually in the process.
Yeah, Michi Boy not taking any prisoners, although he's going to take a couple of shots being thrown out by Edge. They will going to have to go back behind the tree. He's going to be a little bit exposed out in the open. That's why he prones his way down and looks to kick off a couple of bandages as the smoke is thrown out. A nice response from Shane, California teammate for Michi Boy. Does get a clean knock onto Blockhead, which puts even more pressure on the Cincinnati, puts them down to just 2 players.
Yeah, and Michi Boy here is kind of in his element. We've seen time and again in previous seasons where Michi Boy being the aggressor, especially early on in this situation, is that it normally leads actually to this, is that you will see Berkeley rack up kills, Michi Boy rack up damage and early kills himself, as he just puts the pedal to the metal, and he just forces other teams into situations that they're not prepared for. And generally you're not prepared for a player being that aggressive, as we've seen. As it turns out, it puts them in a very good position early on, as they didn't lose a single teammate as they rotate in.
Oh, but Ginger Jesus gets caught out.
Not again.
Sonic is going to Spirisanic is going to get a clean knockdown. But of course, Kaozu and the rest of the UA side are going to be inside that one building. And as SC does saying, Chaotic a little bit more forward, along with Beams. Hopefully, with Pluie, they'll be able to close out that clean engagement onto UA. As 3 members inside that one building is not going to look too good for Alabama. And I feel like they need to send one of those players outside, because otherwise you get 3 or 4 grenades being thrown out onto the upper floor of that building as they're already being fired up. That could spell the end of Alabama.
Yeah, and you notice how as soon as they got Ginger Jesus down and flushed, that the rest of the team almost like choreographed. They moved in and they rotated in, and they now have cornered them.
No, Chaotic.
Oh, and he gets a knock. I'm surprised that Beans was able to actually to do that. Oh, and then that the Molotov comes out, and it's going to be in a bad situation for Alabama now, is it looks like the throwables will just continue to rain down on them.
TMB.
Oh,
last
now
player standing for his side. Going to be able to look to try and get the revive on the Praetor Demon.
And he's actually
be
going to
pretty
get
good.
it off, it looks like. Although Beams is going to come up, he's going to throw a flash. Will it work? It looks like Demon is going to go down. Res was for nothing, and now it looks like Alabama is going to be no more in game 2. And that was an excellent play from Southwest. So I'm sorry, Southeastern College as they just moved in very succinctly as a unit.
It was good, but I definitely think a mistake was made as we do pan over towards the side of Florizona, as Midwestern are taking a little bit of fight towards them. Fizzle along with Coles Delta and Gribbles pushing their way up. They've not spotted Fear the Fork. Now they're going to look to focus down on Mellow Panda. Shots are being fired at. Mellow Panda does indeed get knocked down by Fizzle TV. Confirmed that kill. Fear the Fork is now the last player standing. There is a little bit of a cheeky third party shots being fired up by Louisiana, looking for the opportunistic knockdown, and Fear the Fork does get spot out. He's going to go down, and that is going to put Florizona State under a hell of a lot of pressure coming into the final moments of this game, as they do only have Migster and Zez Games left standing.
Yeah, being that far out when there's that big of a firefight coming in is going to attract attention. And so that, I mean, I think the idea of Fear the Fork flanking, so to speak, was a good idea, but it was just not executed, I'm sure, as well as they would like.
Oh, we did see Zez Games get a cheeky knockdown on Cosby, but it was instantly returned fire. Mixter goes down, and Florizona get wiped to the floor. Midwestern take no prisoners, taking no S inside the early parts of this Erangel game, and continue to play that position. Phase 2 popped up, and it has thrown a pickle of a shift to the point where, yes, it is for the most part inside Military Island, but there's still a hell of a lot of mainland in play, so it is going to throw those teams into a tizzy on, do we stay in mainland, do we go to Military Island, where do we commit our positioning in this phase 2?
And as we can say that, it looks like Void, who was the recipient of a drop just now, has spotted out Southeastern as they look to move in to Military Island. These days, taking pop shots left and right. Although that does draw attention of all the other teams in the area, and you would have to think that across the way that they're keeping note of where that is.
Beams did actually send himself across with Spirisanic from Southeastern, so they do have 2 players inside the Military Island. So that kind of that 2-1 split with Pluie going down is fair enough, but I think that's actually relatively okay for Southeastern because they have those 2 players inside Military Island. What I am interested is in Central Florida's position, going to hold on to the edge of the bridge on the eastern side of this mainland area. might be able to catch out the likes of British Columbia, who are still on the mainland, and even the one and only Louisiana State. So definitely looking pretty good for Central Florida, but they are now sending themselves across the bridge. Do they know that Spiritanic and the rest of the southeastern side are underneath the bridge, looking to be the bridge trolls?
Looking to be the bridge trolls. Absolutely. You see there, as we say that, Southeastern now has spotted out Van and Judy as they have rotated across. But they're only 2 players, and will they be able to take advantage of this, or will the rest of the team close in and take on as Nomad Raft is taking shots? And one by one they're rotating in, and I'm surprised that they haven't been able to take advantage of this, considering that they were right there. They had the position in order to do it, and now UCF is going to get a rotate in as they go up the hill there towards Radar.
But I think Southeastern was actually pretty well how they played that. As you do see, looking over and towards the Western Bridge, Concordia leaving a little bit too late to rotate, and have opted to not go for that bridge push across the way, because there is a beautiful side of Iceman and the rest of his team camping the western side. The circle does show up, and it does shift down into the military island, but down by the southeastern way, giving a little bit of an advantage to North Carolina. Plus, I don't know if you noticed, but Norwich took a boat rotation for Milta Power. Beautifully executed coming out from Norwich. 12 out of 10. I want to see more of that inside these games. Just a little bit unorthodox. However, they are going to take a couple of shots by NCSU.
And they followed in NCSU after NCSU did that as well. So it is just they had a little bit of patience, waited, and then snuck in right behind NCSU. And actually, I think we just saw 2 great examples of how to bridge camp, right? How to take advantage of it and how to kind of play that middle area where you're not aggressive enough, right? And you're not backing off. As we saw Hershey and Iceman there able to effectively prevent teams from right. And it wasn't until they left in which then Berkeley was rotating in across while in the blue though. So although we do see Concordia, they're still out of it, and it looks like they may be in trouble.
Yeah, it seems like they don't really know where they want to go and how they want to rotate. And I think that's even though Concordia are looking really good in the overall standings, I'm going to throw that criticism out there. You cannot afford to be indecisive on your rotations. The IGLE has to be more on point. You have to have a game plan, a plan A, a plan B, a plan C coming into these kind of circle situations more than ever.
And as we see that, or as we look at NCSU and Novo, they have, with Norwich and NCSU, have come to a head as Norwich has had to push in. NCSU realized they were there, as you mentioned before.
Nice.
And now they are putting pressure on, but it looks like both teams are taking casualties, as you have Beck gone and Winlow's knocked, but it looks like Wolf is going to get the res off as Regimes continues to put pressure on the remaining 2 not knocked members of Norwich. And I don't think that they're going to be able to get Bloody Motions up, as he's just too far out of the way. And at this point, it might be best to kind of do what you can to get out of there, as we see them try to get in the vehicle. But NCSU then is up to 3 players now and essentially formed a firing line, taking shots. And that is going to be the end for Norwich, and NCSU plays that extremely well as they essentially force them out, although catching the attention of Central Florida up on radar.
Yeah, Central Florida going on to a high ground mountain overlooking the likes of NCU, and even looking down on now the northern part of the circle, southeastern 2-man team. It does shift down south. It's going to leave Rochester quite far away from the circle, but they are up as a full-man team. Midwest are taking the brunt of the blue zone with Calsey and Fizzle, who did swim across the ocean, but that phase 4 does take a decent bit of tick damage.
As they're trying to keep out LSU once again. It's like, there's something about these 2 teams. They're just drawn to each other. The magnetism, right?
Yep.
as
They're drawn to
LSU
each
goes
other,
down.
man.
Yeah, exactly. As LSU goes down, and I believe wasn't it Rochester that took out Midwest last game as well?
Yep.
As they try to, wow, deja vu here as we try to do this. As I say that, NCSU has spotted out UBC as they rotated into the very western part of Novo. Well, they rotated down, but the western part of Novo, and you see that Shabs is not.
Yeah, Shells is knocked. We are seeing then now Cruzy being knocked down by Arctic Wolf. NCSU are doing a great job of suppressing UBC, but of course, you know, NCSU, they're not in the circle, and they've got to, NCSU have got to kind of realize, look, let Central Florida get rid of UBC. We've got to try and find a bit of rotation inside the circle ourselves. What I do like the fact is that UC Berkeley did rotate all the way from the western side of the previous phase to the southeastern side of this phase 4, and that was such a clean rotation coming out from Michi Boy and the rest of the Berkeley side, and you know, kudos to you guys.
Yeah, so I'm not sure whether that was by design or by the fact that not knowing where other teams were, and Mitchie Boy looking at the map and being like, there has to be somebody at radar. We have to go there. You know?
Well,
because he wants to kill, you know, he's putting the foot down. I'm sorry, I'm just making him
I think it was based off the fact that because the circle was hovering around the mainland, there's a much higher chance that there's going to be little to no team on the southern part of the military island circle, right? So you automatically have more space. It's the law of percentages, and they made it work in their favor.
Absolutely, the law of percentages, and everyone knows that that is definitely something outside of casting that everyone thinks about. You know, the law of percentage when it comes to PUBG. I know that I do regularly, but that's only because I'm so bad that I have to think of the law of percentages, right?
Of course.
I do. I appreciate you agreeing with me saying that I'm so bad. That means a lot, Imperium, and supporting me in my casting, but not in my PUBG play. So as we see that UCB has been taken out, it looks like now it's just Winlow left. He's going to have to snake it. Central Florida is in a great position here, although the next circle is going to pop, and if I had to guess, I'm not sure that it would stay up there, and I would say that it looks like Beams and Southeastern probably being the most central. And as that happens, it does pop, and it off of Radar Tower, as it so often does. Beams is there. Also in a good situation is Concordia, and if Rochester plays it well, like that area in which they're at, because enough trees, there are some hills, they can play that into good position and could come out on top.
Yeah. They're the only team on the northern half of this phase 6 circle, right? And that's something that they somewhat need to become aware of sooner rather than later. That will become apparent once they get the whole team inside the circle. Right now, it's just Pseudo Void. Concordia, I criticized their indecisiveness of moving into the circle, but credit where it's due, they've at least gotten in there. The good thing for the side of Florida is on that radio tower, they had 4 vehicles, so they can use those 4 vehicles to move down that radio tower into the circle, but they're actually not really opting to it. They're opting to kind of stay on foot for now, and I kind of don't get that. It means you're taking longer and you're more easily getting spotted. So I think that's a little bit of a mistake by Central Florida. I know you don't always want to take vehicles in the late stages of the game, but I think it would have been a wiser choice, Central Florida.
Yeah, I think knowing where the circle is at that point, as you say that, it looks like that Concordia spotted out Berkeley as they chose to rotate back the way they initially came from, and all 4 of them survive. Although they have been spotted out by Void, and Void lays some hurt on Mitchie Boy there as he is forced to lay down and heal up. And as we see that, it looks like Central Florida has actually waited too long and put themselves in quite a bad position as we have Span knocked, and we also have Nomad Wrath knocked as they're trying to make their way down the hill while taking fire from multiple teams here.
Yeah, it was definitely a mistake made by Central Florida. California doing a great job with their reposition, as you correctly highlighted. Rochester might be able to punish both of those sides. Central Florida are indeed eliminated. We are down to 5 teams with 14 players up, and
Having the
credit
high
where
ground
it's
can be what like almost like a double-edged sword in which you want to stay
True.
there to gather information for so long because you have that advantage, but you end up waiting too long trying to take advantage of it, and it then actually hurts you.
True, 110%. It was just the lack of vehicles that they had vehicles, but the lack of use of those vehicles was the only reason why Central Florida went down. We do still have 2 teams with 2 and 1 players left alive in CSU. Winlow is going to be last player standing for side, and then Southeastern has Spirisanic along with Beams making their way out away from that compound, threading with a little bit of caution as Hershey does send his way across the road along with Crop for that clean 2-2 split from Rochester. That's going to be nicely executed. Now the fight is going to be laid on between themselves and the side of California as Concordia avoid both of these sides.
Yeah, you see that's an ambitious 2-2 split by Rochester. So far, it seems to be doing well as they've actually are taking up a lot of the real estate in this next circle that has popped. And they are forcing not only, Iceman and Pluto have forced Berkeley away, but they've also forced Concordia to rotate away from them as well with just 2 players. And if Crop and Hershey can take advantage of this situation and not get spoiled by Winlow here, then I think they are in a great position to take this game too.
110% agree. Winlow is not moving the muscle. He hears footsteps to Crop. He's going to find Crop. He does get the knockdown onto Crop. Now, what can Hershey do to provide some kind of support? A little bit of a return kill onto Winlow. Crop and Rochester did not know Winlow was there, and Winlow got that surprise clean attack. Got to take into the fact that Southeastern are also still in play, but now Hershey is going to turn around and turn his attention on towards Winlow. Down on the peak of this hill, Winlow is looking towards a member of Rochester. Hershey in the sidelines and look at it play out this.
And Iceman is rotated back too. Iceman is rotated back behind him to try to find out where Winlow is. He spots him out.
Perfect.
Giving excellent help to his teammates, even though he wasn't necessarily that close as he got there. And it looks like they're going to be able to get Crop back up, and they will still continue to have a full squad.
Wow, I'm a little bit surprised that Winlow didn't look to confirm that kill, but also kind of like the fact that Winlow recognized that he was gonna more likely expose his position. However, because he left it too long to kind of move onto the attacker, Hershey allowed, as you correctly pointed out, Iceman to get that flank position from the other side of the road and close out NCSU. We're down to the final 4 teams. 4 members for Cal, 4 members up for Rochester, 3 for Concordia, and 2 for Southeastern. Phase 6 heading into Phase 7 with the roads split down the middle. Where is it going to go, Trey?
Oh, it looks like it's going to favor those that are bold, as it is almost strictly a Rochester circle here. Although they only have 1 player in it, the rest of them are closer than all other teams. And it looks like that we might have a Cal and a Concordia fight here, although they both seem to be quite paying attention to Rochester. I'm not sure how aware Concordia is that just below them there's Michi. Oh, I'm sure they're aware now, as Void now is taking shots at Meg and Michi, knocking out Shane as they trade shots with Concordia. Concordia shoots them back.
Oh, but now in comes Southeastern. Spirisanic, I believe, taking a couple of shots towards Concordia. Sneak attack, flash, and Mourns are inside a tiny little dip of this hill. It's high ground play. They've got to look downhill towards Khaled. They're going to be able to get those shots on towards Mitchy Boy. Mitchy Boy trying to hold on for dear life. He's down to half of it. He gets knocked down by Flash but Sneak Attack is going to get returned flyer. An opportunistic push by Spirisanic gets a double knockdown. That's just Flash left standing for Concordia. But Concordia fire back. Flash gets a knockdown onto Spirisanic. Beams is further away, not able to provide anything for his Southeastern teammate, but the damage has been done. Concordia do get eliminated at the hands of the Blue Zone, and that's only going to favor Rochester once again as the Blue Zone of Phase 7 is closing in.
And it is now just Beams and all 4 members of Rochester as Mitchy Boy went down as he bled out. And Beams is not in a great position here. As I say that, he goes down before I think he even finished my sentence.
You spoke too soon. You spoke too soon. 2 teams left up. 1v4. Rochester in firm control of this game. It may not be the 17 kill domination that we saw in game 1, but it is a double-digit kill count. It will be an 11 kill game if they close out this chicken dinner, and a very successful game 2 following a strong game 1 performance, looking pretty good. The kill comes through. Hershey closes things out. Rochester claim the chicken dinner.
Yeah, that was they spotted him out in there and just and like that, and it was a Rochester game once again, just racking up the kills here.
Yeah, it wasn't just genuinely, it wasn't just the kills, but it was the control they showed, right? There was a bit of a risk to their control, right? Because they had at one point kind of a 2-1-1 split on the Northern Hills, and but because luckily they were the only team on kind of the northern part, I think Phase 5 circle, they had kind of plenty of time to gather that information. And yes, they did have a brief hiccup at the hands of NCSU because they reacted really quickly. And I mean like super quickly with Iceman flanking around to close out that last player of NCSU and get that return kill that allowed them to keep up as a full squad. Yes, Southeastern had to thread with caution as a 2-man team, so they couldn't do too much to put a little bit of hurt onto Rochester. And the biggest losers, when I say biggest losers, I mean like the loss of opportunity, was 100% Florida. They great position on top of the radio tower, great sight lines, but when they had to disengage, they had 4 vehicles. Why didn't they at least kind of split push and send 2 in the vehicles and then 2 walking down the hill? Because then at least the 2 players inside the vehicles would have been a little bit of a distraction. So definitely a missed opportunity for Florida inside this Erangel game. But overall, nice to see a Military Island finish.
Absolutely. I think you're right. They're even just doing the 2 split earlier. They let Southeastern, who was limping kind of into the circle there with 2 players, right? After having not getting the rest of them over to the Military Island, is that they were then able to get on foot over to the compound that is, west, down the mountain from radar. Yeah. And that Central Florida might have, and reviewing it, they might actually look at that and think next time, why don't we send 2 people down there with a vehicle, secure this compound here, right? And that way, if we do have to rotate in, even using another vehicle to rotate down, we can then provide cover fire.
Yeah, 110%. Again, it was a well-recovered game from Concordia, and I've praised how well they played up until this point, but that genuinely was probably one of the poorest performances I've seen from them in these games. The indecisiveness of their rotation, hopping between the mainland, the bridge, the mainland, it was kind of like, come on, make a decision, guys. You've got to have that plan in place. You don't necessarily know where the circle is going to go, but that's why I say you kind of got to have a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C, and kind of in your head go, okay, well, if it shifts this direction, we'll go it this time and we'll go this way. If it shifts in this direction, we'll go this way and execute that swiftly. But Concordia were definitely fortunate that they didn't get caught out more and indecisive on how they moved in. So that's a criticism to a team that I am normally having high praise for.
Yeah, and I think that when we saw that Berkeley have that initial fight after they rotated past Concordia, right, with Iceman and Void there, is that they could have made that choice to come up and play third party behind and take advantage of this situation. They chose not to, but they also didn't try to put any pressure on either team, right? As they rotated in.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
kind of just waited and waited, and as see many times. And granted, we can say that as casters, looking at at all the action unfold. And when you're in those moments, the not knowing, the not having that information can really be the mental block that prevents you from making a call or being
That's
something that you
true.
would do normally earlier in the game, so to speak. Is that it can make you be not as aggressive or not make those sound like just strong moves, just because you are at that point, you've gotten this far and you're like, okay, let's just get as far as we can possible. Let's let other teams eliminate and then we'll play. Whereas ultimately, often when you force other teams into those situations, right, in which they're uncomfortable, they weren't prepared for it, et cetera, is that you then end up creating the best possible situation for yourself as a team because you're the one dictating the situation to others.
Yeah, exactly. I really couldn't agree with you more, Trey. But overall, again, it was an interesting game, and I hope these players and teams can kind of overall learn from the experience and kind of carry that on forward to the not only final 2 games of this week, but then of course next week's game.
Absolutely. And as I say that, I would like to just a moment. Can we talk about our sponsors? Play for Pink. Check out playnacl.com to purchase one of their pink breast cancer research hoodies. All profits will be donated to Play for Pink, a nonprofit that aids in breast cancer research and awareness. And once again, I cannot say enough about NACL, is that not only that is fantastic, but breast awareness. Definitely purchase one of those hoodies. Go check it out. And if you don't, I'll send Optical after you. And everyone knows Optical is a very scary guy.
Even our producer was giving a giggle in our ear off that. So, yeah, be afraid. Be very afraid.
Yeah. He's been using this pandemic to work on his Liam Neeson skills. That being said, I guess we will, will we take a short break here, or what is?
You know what? I don't think it's worth it, and I don't because you know what? Let's keep the momentum. We'll do a little bit of a chill talking because the game's loading in, and gotta say credit to the players. They're joining the lobby as soon as the game ends. They're like wasting no time at all. They just want to get into the action. I think that's pretty commendable. I know that kind of might sound a bit stupid, but I think it's important when you're going into when you're in an event like this that of course if you have a good result you are riding that momentum, but even if you have a bad result you're just kind of brushing it aside and not necessarily forgetting about it but not overthinking that bad result, and you're just kind of going, yeah, let's get into
just
the
like
next game,
me in
guys.
school. Just like me in school. If I have a bad result, I don't think about it, I brush it to the side.
Okay.
I'm like, so I failed that test, We don't need to think about it.
Did you fail a lot of tests when you were in school, Trey?
I don't really know. I don't really think about it.
There you go.
So I actually do want to apologize here because it does seem that Span did drive down. I guess we must have missed that. That must have been when she got knocked early on. I do apologize to Span and the rest of Central Florida. Although I guess we were looking for more of a caravan, like all four, at
convoy.
once. Right, a convoy like in a flying V, Mighty Duck style or something.
Oh my God.
I mean that's me. Don't pay attention to me because that's the kind of stuff I try to pull in games. But then again, I also don't have a team to play with me, probably because I pull that kind of stuff in game. That being said, I do apologize, man. I do apologize, Raph, and the rest of Central Florida. And I'm sorry. I just got. Oh yeah, sorry. I just loaded in actually. Miramar oftentimes will take a little bit longer. And Miramar.
Okay.
Oh, as we do see the next plane path going directly over Los Leones, that is a east to west, almost due east to west. Very south shallow kind of plane path here. And this will make for, I guess, interesting drops, as we've seen quite a few teams that go up to like around San Martin. I know that there's, I can't remember which team is at La Cabrera, as well as like other teams that are near Junkyard, Minas, and things along those lines. So I wonder if we'll see. Oh no, it looks like Puerto Paraiso is going to just be Concordia now. Looks
So,
like so it looks like it, okay. So once again, we do see Florida going to Los Leones. Rochester University has taken up the buildings. It does appear to be on the outskirts of the southwestern side of it. We have quite a few teams down there as well. We got UBC. We do have our favorite Eric Burstyn. I think I'll like a Blockhead. One of my favorite teams from season 6. We have quite a few teams here in the south that are not normally dropping there, as you see, and even up north, at just north of that, we have in Crater. We also have Minas with LSU there. It is quite packed in certain areas here, as we see the first circle pop, and it looks like we might have an early fight in Monte Nuevo.
No, I do think the Florizona stateside are just gonna like obviously avoid Monte Nuevo and avoid Beams and the rest of the southeastern side. Although we have seen the first knockdown come out as a dude gets taken out. Yeah, so I think especially considering the phase 1 circle, I think it's wise that Florizona State opted not to go to Monte Nuevo, and what they can do is they can just shift on over to El Pozo and loot up that city before moving out.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised that they didn't take more damage as they were taking shots in the air as they parachuted down. Normally, when that happens with me in pubs, mind you, is that I have been shot out of the air quite a few times. So it might turn out to be that Southeastern didn't take advantage of the situation they wish they could have. Yeah, as I say that. So if we look at the southeastern side of the circle here, it is just packed, as UBC and St. Ambrose have gotten quite close. We see Jacked and Dense Plains very close to each other. I wonder if they're aware of how close they are in that situation.
Well, the good thing for St. Ambrose, and even actually for British Columbia overall, is that they have roughly like kind of a couple of players with each other or close to each other. I do think both sides will just generally kind of trade a couple of shots, maybe knock here or two, but otherwise I think it'll be overall nothing.
Speaking of
crazy.
a knock here or two, is that it looks like Ontario has decided to get revenge on Beast for his early kill, and they were able to take him out. Although they did, I believe, knock themselves with their own nade, as Penguin has rotated in, and now he has knocked SA Kid, as Ontario is looking to heal up, as their health is quite low. Big Penguin now being aggressive. He's rotating the far side, and it looks like he might catch him out. Not paying attention. Oblivion there got caught staring or looking at his own teammates, as Penguin has already knocked one and pushed in. Penguin there taking out Ontario, and I know Ontario is going to look back at that and really be kicking themselves.
It's one of those things where that was overall, an Ontario mistake, because one of the number one rules is that when you get a knockdown, if you're able to, you instantly reposition. And Ontario should have predicted that Penguin was going to reposition, whereas as you saw, Oblivion was kind of just looking at where Penguin was as opposed to where Penguin might be, and that's a little bit of a feels bad man indeed. But we are seeing Rochester come into a little bit of action with British Columbia. Shabs is knocked down. I don't know if he's going to be able to get revived up by the rest of his side, because Kresley did take a little bit of damage and is trying to heal up for his side.
Yeah, he got jacked, and I'm not sure Kresley knows that Crop is there. Crop is going to spot him out, take out Jacked, and just be one shot short, getting Kresley down. That is impressive considering. Oh, and that's going to be a nade, and what a nade by Crop! Wow, as he just take all three members now of UBC that have rotated in are going to be taken out. Crop with a masterful play, and now it looks like it's Few though has knocked the rest of Rochester up north himself. It is like just the one-man shows here, I guess, for each team.
Wow. They're
know.
both down to one player. Crop is gonna look for it's Few from a distance, but Iceman is trying to give a little bit of information over to his teammate. I'll tell you who this is favored more than anybody, to be perfectly honest. This is favored St. Ambrose, because they're still up as a full squad. They've avoided both of those sides. They're
Absolutely
looking pretty
true.
good.
They could take advantage of this. In this situation, it is if they choose so. Although it doesn't look like they're too aggressive here. It looks like they're just holding that edge.
Well, they're not normally a team that likes to rotate super early into these circles anyway, so I think that just kind of more fits their play style. But it just means there's a much higher chance they're not going to get third party. They're not going to get caught out on their rotation into phase 2. But and they would have heard those shots and seen those knocks in the kill feed, as Iceman does, of course, finally get confirmed by its Few.
I do enjoy your rhymes. Almost like a Dr. Seuss of PUBG. Heard those shots. I saw those knocks. Look for Imperium's children's PUBG mobile book coming sometime 2021. As I say that, it looks like Spancargo is rotating into Berkeley, as they already have that compound. If they're able to get away without taking a knock, even, I feel like they've got to be thinking, or they got to be like counting their lucky stars in that situation, as they drove right up to Frodo, and then as I say that now, it looks like NCSU has spotted out Mitchie Boy and Shane, and they are firing at him. So it seems that not being able to take advantage of that is also kind of giving a few teams knowledge to their whereabouts.
It's a great 2-2 split, I have to say, coming out from UC Berkeley, because Mitchie Boy was able to kind of do onto California that maybe the two players that were closer to not California, Florida, should I say, that the his two teammates that were close by weren't able to do. So that 2-2 split by Mitchie Boy and Shane and the rest of the Cal side definitely paid off. And yeah, even though NCSU were taking a couple of shots towards Mitchie Boy, it shouldn't be too much of a pressurizing point. These two teams do hold on to the middle of the circle. Definitely like a Midwest 2-2 split as well. It's a little bit more out in the open, but it's relatively protected by a few buildings and those little fences that are really paying off, and I really like Midwestern's control inside this circle for phase 1.
Speaking of which, we just watched the Chaotic fend off Cincinnati as blocking, and I believe it was Theoholic rotated. I apologize, I remember, but now he's forcing Blockhead out as Chaotic and Beams were able to put pressure on, and he's actually rotating it near just Midwest, who you just spoke of. So it seems like it's a lose-lose situation for, unless he can rotate in like all the way around and pulls like a Berkeley from last game, right?
Yeah, it's not going to be easy for Mr. Blockhead. With this phase 2 shifting up north, right, it does put a little bit more security on Midwest's position, because they do have to worry about teams coming in from like the Chumacera area, but I do think because they weren't in Chumacera, they're much closer to the center of the circle, so they're able to take a little bit more time to gather information on the teams around them. They are still committing to that 2-2 split, but I'm genuinely actually okay with that, because I think Midwest are the kind of team that can handle that 2-2 split for the most part. So I'm excited to see what they can make of it, as actually no Fizzle and Gribbles might be looking to join up with the rest of side. So we'll have to wait and see how they do plan this one out.
Yeah, as we see that, it looks like Minchie Boy, and it looks like, I'm sorry, Berkeley has continued their 2-2 split as they've pushed up kind of close to NCSU from NCSU having rotated into western side of Picado, like buildings there. And if they're not careful here, this could turn into a bad situation as they have so many teams just around them on all sides. And I feel like they actually are feeling the exact same way, that they want to group up here as being that split is a little bit dangerous at this point in the game. As you look at Picado, we have Florida, we have LSU, or Central Florida, we have LSU, right? And we have Northwich that is on the southeastern side. And then we have NCSU on the western side. And that is before we even talk about rotating from the north side, right? Up north is Florizona State. And if they play it right, they could actually then be shooting down and take advantage of this situation here.
Definitely. There's a lot to win. There's a lot to lose inside this phase 2. That was another little rhyme for you there, just for you, Trey. Dedicated to you.
I appreciate all this. I'm gonna end up clipping these and do an audiobook for you.
But for Central Florida, they do have to be aware that even though they are focusing their attention onto LSU, that backline angle and those backline shots being fired up by NCSU could definitely catch that. You also have Norwich that are kind of further back outside the Picado city, also possibly being able to take a couple of shots into California. So I'm interested in how they're going to deal with this as phase 3 is about to pop up. Where is it going to go? We'll have to wait and see. And a team I also want to kind of touch upon that we haven't really talked about in this game is Southeastern. They've been pretty quiet, but they've rotated into a fantastic position inside this phase 2.
Yeah, they've managed to hold teams off. And with their early position where they had kind of not even 2-2 split, it was just like split up down that road right there. They got a kill there as we see. It looks like Midwest and Berkeley are now, and they having rotated near each other. I guess Midwest, it kind of forced the issue, and it looks like they're gonna be able to get up their down player. As I say that, LSU has rotated in, as you can see, Central Florida taking shots at them, which is going to draw the attention of Gribbles and Fizzle, as they are going to look then north. As I say that, Gribbles then takes and knocks Big Penguin as he rotated in. In a situation like this, just drawing fire can put you in a really bad situation, as we see here before LSU. And it looks like Delta is going to try to move in and get Fizzle. Oh man, Fizzle and Gribbles is just tearing LSU apart. And is Delta gonna be able to come in and get that last one? He throws a nade. Does he get it through? I'm sorry, a Molotov. He gets it through. Is it gonna be enough though? Oh, they're just outside the. Oh no! Oh no!
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
And
I don't get why Louisiana made that rotation from the hotel blocks in Picado, because they were still inside the circle. What they could have done is they could have waited a little bit longer, gathered a bit more information, maybe have punished Midwest a bit more. Whereas because they went for that early rotation, they knew they were going to face pressure from Central Florida, but they didn't have the information and they got caught out by Delta and the rest of the Midwest team. So definitely a mistake made.
Do you think that has to do with the earlier games in which they didn't rotate early enough, and so therefore they were kind of forced out? Maybe dealing with that, and then makes you want to then rotate earlier to kind of secure that. Which also that compound we often see if watching like the pro PUBG leagues is that it is a very a lot of circles will end in which teams that are in and around that compound have a very good position for circles that at this stage of the game. So I understand them wanting to go there, but I think they rushed it a little bit, as you pointed out.
Yeah, timing is of the essence, right? And it wasn't the right timing for that rotation. You do make a good point though about that compound, but if you're already there, great. But if you have to go there, you got to make sure it's at the right time frame. But either way,
right? It's like the Department of Motor Vehicles, exactly. Yeah. You know, If you're already there, great. But if you have to go there, you got to make sure it's at the right time. Sometimes it's not the right time. Just like my exes have said to me. It's not.
I love some of the comparisons that you pull out. It's just like so left field, and I'm just like,
oh yeah,
I would never think about that, but absolutely
100% left field, and sometimes in the stands. I will come out of the stands. And as I say that, the new circles pop. It looks like NCSU is in a good position. Same thing with Southeastern a little bit. We see Concordia moving in.
Yeah.
With no real pressure there. And Berkeley still dead center there. Midwestern is in really good position. They can kind of control people coming out of Picado and rotating in from the east side. Although if too many teams try to come in, they aren't going to be able to hold their attention. As we say that, it looks like, oh wow, all three of Southeastern have moved in, and they are now in the same compound as NCSU.
The team that are in the biggest trouble are Central Florida, because they're going to have to disengage away from Picado. Again, timing is going to be of the essence. So if I were them, I'd actually wait for the next circle to pop up. Yeah, they might want to think about their position and maybe go down to a compound that Louisiana State attempted to go into, but I don't think it's worth it, because when you look at Midwest, they're not under any real pressure at that moment on the 2-2 split, and because they have that 2-2 split, they have multiple angles and sightlines on that compound if Central Florida do attempt to go there. But it seems like they are going to start making that push a little bit on foot. They're looking to grab a bit of information, and we'll have to wait and see if it does pay off, as Southeastern are taking that fight against NCSU.
Yeah, and they're taking shots from FSU as well, and Berkeley, as we see Northwich rotating in behind Midwest, as well as I believe we have Alabama taking the long way around as if they hear the shots coming out from watching Northwich. As that's happening, that actually covers for Central Florida to move into the compound, which was actually so deadly to even contemplate there before. That is just, it is phenomenal how essentially they use Northwich in order to move in under the cover of night, so to speak.
Yeah, and because they did it by foot, those vehicles weren't making noise, right? So they were able to kind of sneak their way in there. So credit where it's due to Central Florida. I said it was going to be tricky, but they've executed initially that rotation, and Norwich are going to feel the pain as Belts does get knocked down, so it's going to leave them under a little bit of pressure. It's who's going to be last player standing from UBC. We see Alabama have been able to at least navigate their way in on towards the edge of the circle, but they do have SAU in front of them firmly inside the circle. Concordia are still waiting up down on the southern part of this phase 4 as the Blue Zone's about to be hitting. Bloody Motions gets confirmed for Norwich, leaving them up as a two-man team.
Yeah, we see also, if you look on the west side, so we have Southeastern, right, and NCSU, and FSU is kind of was just hanging around the outside. They haven't really done much. Now they're just taking pop shots, in which they've drawn the attention of NCSU, which could turn out to bite them in the rear, so to speak. Knowing that Southeastern has clearly taken up that building and pushed, halfway into that compound there, and now the focus seems to be more on FSU than it does on Southeastern.
That's true, and that's something that Southeastern could look to capitalize. As the next circle does shift up, it goes east, putting Florizona under pressure that you kind of mentioned might potentially happen. Also, Concordia down on the southern part of this map right now are outside the circle. And we'll have to wait and see. But right now, Midwest, my friend, Midwest still has a 2-2 split inside the circle. Surely it's going to come to a point where they'll have to join up as either a full squad or 3-1 to really maintain control of this phase 5 circle.
Quite possibly. Who knows, though? It might be that there's too many teams and too much action happens too late there, that having that too late, they can't, risk joining up there. True. It would be too dangerous. And I do have to give credit's due. Central Florida, their rotation this time has been magnifique, as they have moved into that compound, in which then noted that, I just have too many screenshots of it being in the center of the circle towards the end of which we see this, and they have taken that. They must have heard what we said last game, and they said, you know what, Trey? You don't know Jack. Imperium, you probably just went along with what he said, and we apologize for having to cast with him. But let us show you how we actually do it. As I say, that Concordia tries to push in to Berkeley, and they now that would have. It is just a onslaught as FSU is rotated in behind them, so they're taking shots. Flash is down, Warren's down. It looks like it's just Culpepper and Sneak Attack left in the building, but the attention is being drawn by FSU as they rotate back. So Mitchie Boy and Shane aren't even paying attention to the two other Concordia members in the building with them, as there is just so much happening all around them.
I don't think FSU are able to do enough to suppress California's pressure onto Concordia. It might give Concordia a tiny bit more time, but I feel like it's just, holding out for the inevitable, but we'll have to wait and see. California did get that revive off onto that knocked player Magnum, so it's going to be a clean 4v2 as Culpepper is going to take a little bit more damage, going to get knocked down off a clean Molotov being thrown out by Frodo. Sneak Attack is now the last player standing for Concordia inside the barn of those buildings, of that compound. Can he get that 1v4? But he's taking pressure, and shots from another angle puts him down to 26 health.
I believe that was St. Ambrose. That was St. Ambrose as it looks like. Now, Mitchie Boy's finish off Culpepper as St. Ambrose coming from behind is putting pressure, and this could be a bad situation. As we see, Southeastern is eliminated by NCSU, so we know the conclusion of that fight. We have Midwest shooting at Ambrose as they choose to rotate into that exact same compound in which Concordia is there. This is going to turn into just an onslaught here. Can Sneak Attack take advantage of any of this, though, and maybe take out a member of Cal Berkeley here or there? It looks like he's just going to bide his time and say, you know what? I'm going to use these guys as cover. I am grateful that they moved into this time. As St. Ambrose goes down, it looks like they're just in a King Nando. And if we look even more west and north, as FSU is rotated north, they've actually come into contact with NCSU. It looks like Mellow Panda has been knocked. Fear the Forks now on the east side. Mixer is now laying down trying to heal as the flashes are just raining down on FSU as NCSU is pushing hard. Getting Mixer down, and Fear the Fork is in a bad position as he's running away, but taking shots from Central Florida here. And I'm not sure he's going to survive much longer if NCSU continues to push the way which they have. They've backed off and now are healing. It's quite surprising.
It is indeed. I think NCSU kind of realized that they can't overpeak the top of the hill, right? So they have to kind of think about their position inside the circle. Sneak Attack from Concordia, last player standing, who was able to catch out one of the Cal members and get that confirmed kill. So even though he's most likely going to go down into the bottom six, he's been able to pick up another point for his side. Magnum, Frodo, Mitchie Boy was able to also close out St. Ambrose. We're down to the final 6 teams. Mellow Panda does get confirmed up by Big Butt Judy. That was actually a kill stolen away. I will point out, off the back of NCU getting that initial knock, and all the while, Midwest, I talked about them kind of having to join up, and you mentioned about maybe about 2 main teams being around them. They've left it a little bit longer, and it's worked out, where even though they're not up as a full squad, they have a nice 3-man spread with Delta, Gribbles, and Colsey, really controlling the southern part of this phase 6 circle.
Yeah, they're just taking up space and holding it down so other teams can't move in. And a lot of times that is the best play to do, even if you're not getting kills, you're not getting the knocks, And it looks like they're doing it well, and they're just waiting for their opportunity to take on whoever comes out of this compound here when it comes to Berkeley and Sneak Attack as Sneak Attack goes down. And now it might actually be against Berkeley because they took so long, right, to come out because they're looking for Sneak Attack as opposed to do it. They have NCSU on one side and they have Midwest on the other side, and they're looking to be in a real bad situation here as NCSU is spread apart, and it looks like Central Florida now is trying to pick apart Midwest as they rotate across, and they are unable to do it. That moment they get fizzled down a little bit, but not enough.
Well, here's the thing for Florida, right? They have to play this engagement away from the building very carefully. Yes, They do have the kind of lower parts of the train that they can use to sneak up on towards NCSU, but it's also relatively quite open. Now, as their compound is still inside the circle, what they can do is they can wait for Midwest to get distracted by NCSU. And then they can make their move and make their super cross away. Nice by Winlow to suppress the side of Cal to get another knockdown up. It's going to leave Magnum left on his own with Frodo by his side. So the two-man team of UC Berkeley trying to hold on for dear life. The Blue Zone is going to be closing in, though, for the next 1 minute and 20 seconds of this phase 7. We do see Magnum going to get knocked down. Frodo is going to be the last player standing. He's going to get spotted out by Window. Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt. That's going to be UC Berkeley eliminated from this game.
Yeah, they took a long time, and they knew where Midwest was, right? And so they didn't want to go that way. But that being said, they walked right into NCSU there. Oh, it looks like Nomad Wrath has rotated up to just below Fizzle.
Yeah.
I like that move here. You want to keep them there.
Definitely.
You want to gather information. You have someone there that you can use to surprise attack and maybe get that flag and change the dynamic of this situation that we have right now, in which we have 3 of these strong teams here battling it out in this 27th minute.
It's 4v3v3. So core strong teams left in this game because Midwest were not really too distracted by NCSU. But now, as Delta gets knocked down by Raging's, Midwest might have to focus their attention on towards NCSU. How can Florida play around this side? Nice knockdown coming down onto Gribbles, but it's going to be returned fire by Colsey onto Nomad Wrath. Span Cargo going to look for a little bit of a counter knock, maybe get that revive into Nomad Wrath all the while. NCSU are giving the space to make their way up and towards the hill. Colsey's going to be under pressure. He's the last player standing from Midwest. Could we see Florida close out this chicken dinner? 2 of their players are still inside that compound, but they're firing those suppressing shots over on towards both NCSU and Midwest, allowing that revive to be well executed. Down goes Colsey. Midwest is out of the count. 2 teams left standing in this game. Florida and NCSU 4v3, the high ground going over to NCSU, the low ground and circle going into favor of Central Florida. It's only Beck that's inside this circle for NCSU, but with Winlow and Regimes hanging on for dear life beside each other, they might be able to find a little bit of an off-peak angle onto the 2 members in the back line for Central Florida. Span Cargo, Nomad Wrath, waiting and biding their time. They know that they have the advantage. They have firm control, but with phase 8 closing up, it could definitely go against them. They cannot counter chickens before they hatch. The peak shot's going to come through. Takes a little bit of damage onto Regimes. Nice little bit of a tickle damage by Nomad Wrath to once again continue to push back onto NCSU. They cannot allow themselves to get suppressed coming in to the end of phase 8. The wraparound by Beck might be looking for a little bit of a counter angle, but I think Florida are going to realize this, take the shots on towards Beck, but it is going to be Beck getting the first knockdown onto Oogie Boogie. It's going to be a clean 3v3. Span Cargo finds a knockdown onto Raging. Beck is going to be left on his own. Now it's Winlow left standing. Florida is going to look for this clean chicken dinner. This 1v1 with Span Cargo onto Winlow, but Winlow is holding on for dear life. This is the last circle. The first 8 is going to be executed. The man advantage, the body advantage goes over to Central Florida, but what can Winlow do in the final moments of this game? Span Cargo is not taking anything for granted, but it's going to be the clean chicken dinner for Central Florida. Well-deserved game in Miramar.
Wow, I do like the rotation. You talked about Beck's swing wide, right? Swing wraparound. Yeah. And Central Florida had already been thinking about doing the wraparound, as clearly they had 2 members already over there putting the pressure on. I think that was the key there for their win. Winlow almost looked like he took it. He was going to take it himself, but Span come through with clutch as she finishes out the game as the remaining player standing, and that is going to be a fantastic win for Central Florida.
It was honestly, it was like what we talked about in the last Erangel game, in my eyes, kind of didn't happen. Like, that was a genuine redemption. I know that might sound over the top, but in the sense of, like, they disengage away from Picado beautifully. They moved away from that compound not Picado. Yeah, it was Picado. Sorry. They moved away from that compound perfectly at the right time. Every single time they moved, it was just so well calculated and they didn't rush it. They didn't panic. It was just really like one of the best performances I've seen from any of these teams across the CBA. So full credit to Florida in that game.
Yeah, they played that exceptionally well. Clearly, they didn't like what we said at the end of game 2, and they were out to, give us the old bird, as they say. Let your play do the talking, and they did. Although, if they, let their mouth do the talking as well after this, I don't think I could fault them.
Well, here's the thing, like, I love being proven wrong. I genuinely do. Like, I love making a bit of a statement, so to speak, and then being proven wrong on that statement because I don't know everything, right? I have a perspective, I have an opinion, but if that opinion is wrong, it's like I'm like, yeah, awesome. I'll kind of shut up, and that's exactly what Florida did, and yeah, they deserved it. Yeah,
it's always a fun day when you can get casters to put their foot in their mouth, so to speak. Not me, you, obviously, because you just said you were wrong. That's not something I will admit to at this point. But I will jump on I will agree with you there that, I love when you're wrong too. And maybe you shouldn't have said that about them in game 2.
Wow.
Hopefully you'll learn your lesson there, Imperium, going forward. Never doubt Central Florida.
Trey. Yeah, okay, Trey.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes you got to know when to cut your losses with your teammates and say, hey, I can't get you, and just cut them loose. And here, as we run a duo, so to speak, don't mind me as I snake away from you. Looking at the kills there, Gribbles had a fantastic game with 5 kills. Once again, Midwest having just a bunch of kills. I feel like this is the first game that Rochester didn't necessarily figure out. Granted, they were out 12th and they still had 4 kills. So
yeah,
I think almost every team would want that as like that being their worst game. Just getting 4 kills as you go early. The rest of the day has just been ridiculous amount of kills from them. So looking at the top, we have Big Butt Judy with 3 kills, Wrath with 2, Span Gargo with 2, Oogie Boogie bringing up. But I guarantee if we look at the CGS, there's going to be that damage done as we saw laying down the cover, keeping NCSU, and not only that, but Midwest before that at bay from that compound there.
Yeah, definitely. And it was just kind of, everything aligned for Florida so nicely inside that game. It was also, UCB definitely had a good opportunity, but they allowed themselves to kind of get caught out by Concordia, which shouldn't have been the case. I know they got distracted by the likes of St. Ambrose at one point and even Florizona, but the second that kind of those fights are kind of dispersed, Sneak Attack was left on his own, and that should have been the focus for UCB, but because, as you kind of point out, they left it too late to close out that kill. They left it too late to disengage away from that warehouse. North Carolina had already kind of rotated. They got suppressed, and it was definitely a little bit tunnel vision in my eyes.
Yeah,
in the late stages for them.
As I like to watch battle royales of all kinds, right? Streamers and stuff like that talk about it. I believe it was oh man, I cannot remember the life of me, but it was one of the bigger streamers. He talks about playing battle royale solos, right? And he said that for every second longer it takes you to kill a player, right? Just know that multiplies your chances of dying early because it's going to bring their other teammates, but also it's going to attract the attention of other teams. As we saw there with Berkeley, is that they were taking they were staying in that compound, but because other teams were actually crashing, right, and trying to breach that compound, that they took a really long time, and then they were searching. They were actually waiting for Sneak Attack as opposed to rotating out early, knowing that Midwest was keeping them from rotating east, right?
Yeah.
And it seems like while doing that, they were kind of hyper focused, and that nobody was paying attention to the West, which where they were, they could have easily noticed that there weren't teams there, or there were teams rotating in, or NCSU was rotating in, and that it just took too long, and it ended up being their downfall in that situation. Which, you know, at some point you can't fault them because you keep having teams crash. You're like over and over and over, right? You're like, how many more teams can crash here?
Yeah, definitely, and you make a really good point about kind of time wasted. If you think that there's 30 other players left in the lobby, for every second that you kind of waste as a team, you're technically losing 30 seconds where all the other teams are able to gather a little bit more of an advantage over you, right? It's not exactly that, but that's kind of the way I feel some of the teams need to look at it. You cannot kind of waste those seconds. You cannot kind of rest on your laurels, right? And as much as possible, you kind of got to be one step ahead. But you know that's going to come in time. That's something that you learn from in these
Speak
kind
for
of
yourself.
situations.
I have not learned from that.
Yeah, but
because here's my thing. I just run. Here's the thing. My thing is, I don't say run. I say rotate. I rotate often early, sometimes multiple times in a circle. Yeah, just because I'm like, no, I don't want any part of that. I always say that developing the skill of when knowing not to fight, right, is one of the most important things, especially for high level like competitors. Like most of the time, almost all of these players can go and play in regular like pubs game, whatever, and they are going to be the best players in the majority of the situations. True. And that their ability to take a fight to kill someone leads them to better positions, more wins, more often than not. However, when you're up against all the same quality players, right, it can be the downfall that thinking that like, oh, I can win this, as opposed to knowing that like, okay, I need to know when not to fight. And as we say that, the plane is actually taking off. We see players dropping. It is starting over Milta, and it is heading up towards ending just east of Zarki. And we're going to get a good just spread of drops here from teams, as it looks like we're going to get Rochester going military. And we're going to have a few teams going Yasnaya, actually. And are we going to have school and Rozhawk and apartments that are kind of crowded here? It looks like we're going to, and we might have early fights here as they all go for the vehicles in this situation.
Yeah, Central Florida went for the vehicle, but it is going to be one of the players of Midwest does get caught out by two of the UC Berkeley players. That's the way the cookie crumbles, and that's one of the risks of kind of split dropping in around this area of the map. Florida will, of course, not directly pay off from that, but they're going to be able to avoid the action that's being thrown out by UC Berkeley as we do see. Yeah, I
was gonna say each of the three teams there will maybe manage to secure a vehicle, at least one vehicle there. So I think even though Midwest lost a player there, that's what they're all going for there, is to secure a vehicle, at least a vehicle, if you're going to drop in that area, right? As we saw them fight for it. Speaking of which, I didn't mean to cut you off as the circle popped, right? And then we have a very central circle here. Not really forcing many teams to have to rotate long or far, giving them more time to loot, and giving them a wider array of area to choose from.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of compounds and areas inside this phase one circle that you're able to very easily hold on to. And Louisiana, who dropped in Pachinki, kind of recognized that a little bit. And Big Penguin is straight out, going to head towards Potato Hill. Now we know that Potato Hill is one of those areas which is quite hard to hold on to and control as an individual team. So you got to have your wits about you. I hope Louisiana make it work for their side. At least if Penguin just kind of gets a little bit of information on the Potato Hill train, that might really be a huge benefit for him and the rest of his team. Looking at a couple of teams who are outside the circle, we do see St. Ambrose up in towards North Georgia, and CSU down in South Georgia and Creighton, and of course Alabama in around the GACA region.
As Yasnaya, looks like we have, we do have Concordia that's pushing up northward as they are moving in, and they just dropping Bloody Motion. And cakes through it.
Wow. Wow.
As-
And then heading on over towards Louisiana State, Big Penguin does get that nice knockdown and kill onto Jacked of UBC. And look, that was something that, hey, credit where it's due to Big Penguin. He had his wits about him and kind of realized that as he did move in to more central circle position, there was going to be a chance that somebody could have been in one of those buildings, and he rolled his way down the hill with that vehicle and got the job done onto Jack. So nicely done by Big Penguin.
Absolutely, just to take advantage of this. It almost feels like, I mean, from previous games, I wonder if he knows that UBC goes there and that's their drop, because the way you saw him go up to Potato Hill
Fair.
and then come down, right? Almost
Yeah.
like he knows that that is there. Maybe he,
That's
I mean,
true.
they might know. As
That's
that
fair.
happens, as we cut to, I guess, Span, and she's pushing a compound which Beams is already located in, and it's going to end with Span being knocked, and Beams is out there with no cover, and it looks like Big Judy is not close enough
And
to be able to help
Like-
out, and Span is going to be done for the day.
like, because I was on Span's perspective, and I just saw her kind of roll up, slide that UAS, and Beams was just waiting for, just absolutely waiting for, and just no hesitation, headshot wiped out, job done. And I kind of feel a little bit bad for Central Florida, but now they're going to have to deal with Cal, who are in their sightlines rotating towards that compound, so another fight is going to break out. Mitchie Boy is going to get the knockdown on the Oogie Boogie, but Nomad Rap is able to return fire, getting a knockdown of his own, but in comes the cavalry of California. Magnum goes up the stairs. It's going to be the end of Central Florida, and they are wiped out of this lobby in the last game of the day. Fortunately, they don't end the day on a good note.
Yeah, and we saw there, Cal kind of chased them down. They went from near apartments where they had the vehicle, whatever.
no.
They chased them over. Oh gosh! As we say that, the Southeastern has moved in. It is going to
It's
be
just-
another one of those games for Berkeley, for Cal, right?
Well,
Where
I'm thinking it's just the last game of the day, the gloves are off and the teams are just going full ham, maybe. That's that kind of thing. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see how they deal with that, as Magnum gets knocked down and is going to be returned onto Chaotic.
and as that happens, Sneak Attack and Concordia actually run over Colsey, and they take out two of the members of Midwest, and is just going to be Dizzle and Grizzle. They just T-boned him into the side of it. It was gruesome.
It was gruesome indeed. Nice flank round come down from Beams of Southeastern to get a knockdown on the Magnum. Chaotic was knocked down again for the second time in this fight. The revive is going to be executed onto Magnum. Beams' position has been a little bit compromised behind that tree, so he is going to have to thread with a little bit of caution. As,
Yes, we see that. Looks like NCSU is coming in contact with City Ambrosia. All right. Yeah, and King Dando was knocked on the bridge as they're trying to cross.
Don't know why Pluie tried to make his way in on his own across the buildings, but it is at least going to be returned by Sonic as he made his way across to get that knockdown onto Ian Shane. Magnum Frodo still inside that building. You do still have that flank around by Beans, but Beans is going to be able to catch out Florizona. Fear the Fort gets taken out. Southeastern have their wits about them. But now Magnum is going to get that knockdown onto Bluey. Sonic gets a double knockdown by Magnum. Absolutely fantastic play by that California player. Chaotic going to still be inside that building further back. Beeves got distracted by Florizona, and that was the perfectly struck opportunity by Magnum to get that double kill on the Southeastern.
Yeah, that turned Beans is actually, flank that has put pressure on from both sides into detrimental to the team, right?
Wow.
As his attention was drawn, and now in a bad situation.
Like, and look
Oh
at
my
Rochester now. Rochester hanging around as well, looking for a little bit of fight. You even have Cincinnati, I believe, a little bit further back. This is just absolutely crazy. Although I think Cincinnati are kind of realizing, look, we don't really want to get involved, but Rochester definitely looking like they might want to get involved. As the side of Concordia are looking to get another kill on the board, as they are looking to end on a high note in today's week 4.
Yeah, as we say that, it looks like Concordia finishes off Norwich as they rotate in. Granted, there's action going on across the map here as multiple teams are taking fights with each other. I can't believe we still have Chaotic in here with Berkeley. Beams is still quite a way. Chaotic's able to drop down behind, get Shane. If he's not careful, though, he's going to get shot out by Frodo, not unable to look out the window as he's going to have to rotate around. Oh, and Beams takes a Magnum from far away. Oh, no, Chaotic is not looking the right way, but still manages to drop Frodo. What? How?
Rochester come in, third parties, knocks down Frodo down to a sliver of health, and Chaotic is able to clean things up. But now Rochester, they might be able to come up and get the final blows on the Southeastern. It was nice opportunistic play from Southeastern. I think Chaotic kind of realizes things are getting a little bit too chaotic and gets inside that buggy and is going to look to dip away and join up with his teammate up down on the sidelines. But we'll have to wait and see how that does pan out for him as the circle did shift down. We've barely talked about any kind of circle shifts because it's just been constant action as Chaotic gets knocked down by Iceman.
Yeah, I feel like they're very, very lucky that Rochester didn't say, basically, now it's our turn, now serving number 3, as they then pushed up as they knew that there was, people fighting there in that instance. And now they actually just look to secure position, which Beams is in a really good spot to kind of play spoiler if he plays it right, if he has patience. But with teams rotating in, we never know.
Yeah, that's the thing. You never know. He can't really be controlling. I would recommend him to go into the sniper tower if he can, but I think he has to stay where he is. Hershey is going to be setting himself up on that bike. Beams could be able to spot him from distance. Indeed, he does. Knockdown coming through. Beams might be looking to close this one out, but he can't go too deep to try and grab that kill. He still has to play around the side of Shaq, but Crop comes in to take down Beams, and down goes Southeastern. 11 teams left in the 11-minute mark of this game, 39 players. It's been one of the most aggressive games I've seen in the CBA so far in season 7. And I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of okay with that, Trey.
Yeah, I'm here for it. I'm 100% here for it. Although at times we don't get to focus on other teams fighting, which we've seen that up kind of near Shelter and Museum, right? Is that you have FSU, we have Ontario, and then we have Cincinnati there. Have all three been here this whole time, and they just been taking shots and kind of posturing. And little they know that there's a shark rotating in from the north and west side and NCSU, and they are not as, I guess, okay with
forgiving.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say they generally like to come in, like to move into other people's areas and say, hey, what's going on over here?
Would you like some sugar, sir?
Is this an open bar kind of situation? Can we just come in? As I said, on the southwest side, you have what looks to be Alabama is taking a fight with St. Ambrose. Dense Plains is able to knock Prater and get the kill, as it's going to force the rest of the team of Alabama to kind of rotate in northwise as we see the next circle pop, and that is going to kind of be centered around Farm, which you're going to have NCSU, Ontario, FSU, Cincinnati all have to rotate in, although that south or the east side of the circle is pretty free if Cincinnati wanted to, to take advantage of it.
Definitely, Cincinnati are the team that probably has the easiest opportunity to take advantage of the eastern side of this next phase. And then for the likes of NCSU, they would, it's tricky for them because going for a deep eastern rotation, they're a little bit out in the open, even though it is a wide rotation. But what the hell? Is this Concordia going towards NCSU? What the hell is going on, Trey?
I don't know what Sneak Attack is doing. They decided to rotate around wide. Maybe they're going to go for the eastern side of it. But it looked like they were going to try to I don't even know, run over NCSU, knowing even though they couldn't have known that they were there.
I don't know. I don't know, but I honestly, I'm a little bit. I kind of don't know. I just don't know because they were close to the edge of the circle. What? Yeah. Okay.
I mean, they're going for the Eastern rotation. I mean, it was quite interesting. I don't think I've seen something like that very often.
No.
But you know what? If it works, it works. Although Cincinnati may have a chance here to play kind of spoiler as they're going to rotate right past them. As we say that, Ontario now is moving away after having been confronted with NCSU. It looks like Rochester now is well aware of NCSU on the opposite side of that hill. Cincinnati unable to take advantage of the rotation pass on either side, Ontario or Concordia. And now they're both going to get that free rotation in to as well as FSU was able to get in. So it looks like they were unable to take advantage of all three teams rotating past in that situation.
Yeah, again, you know, Cincinnati are the kind of team where they're not kind of ultra aggressive. They'll allow a team to kind of go around them, and that is kind of one of their weaknesses. But I kind of, in this case, I'll respect them a little bit for that. But Ontario are going right into the pass with Midwest, two-man team inside the farm, and Oblivion the ace instantly gets knocked down. The Duke gets knocked down, and that leaves the Ghost, the last player standing. But inside the vehicle, he's trying to hold on for dear life. He has 16 health left, and he does make it in. Just makes his way in, and Ontario are still in this game.
And Gribbles and Fizzles make their presence known to Ontario as they try to rotate in. And that might actually be a really good place for them, for other teams that want to rotate in. As we see the new circle pop, they're still in it, and they might actually be able to get quite a few chances at teams that moving past. As we see that. Oh, it looks like NCSU is now trying to rotate in. We have, once again, Rochester with that wide spread trying to hold court there. Although they have to be careful because it looks like they could be third party from the backside by Cincinnati.
Nah, Cincinnati are in a lot of trouble, to be perfectly honest. They made that kind of northeastern rotation over to the northwest side, which was quite poor. In my honest opinion, they didn't need to make that kind of rotation, but either way, they're going to be left with just two players, Blockhead and Edge. Although, just as I say that, Blockhead is going to hold on for dear life, gets a knockdown onto Iceman just about as Edge was knocked down. So now he's the last player standing for the Cincinnati side. Nicely played by Blockhead. He's going to choke up a Molotov, try and confirm that kill onto Rochester, making sure that he is given a little bit more space to make his way into the circle.
Yeah, and as he does that, NCSU is pushing up the hill on the rest of the Rochester team, and Hershey's not separated, so it's now a 4-on-2 here. And on the south side of you have LSU and is that Alabama now rotating back up? Both these teams have come from the east side to the west side and now are actually going to confront each other once again. I'm kind of at a loss for words seeing how they were just on the other side of the circle at the beginning of this. And as we say that, Ginger Jesus is shooting at Mr. Blockhead, gets a few shots down, but not enough to take him down. Although,
there you go.
Give it a few more seconds, finish him off there. However, it does draw the attention of Pseudo Void.
Pseudo Void was able to confirm that kill onto Eric Brisket, so it's just him and Prop that's left standing for Rochester. They don't really have too much of manpower that they could really take that fight onto Alabama, to be perfectly honest. So Alabama will be given a little bit more time to wrap around to the north side and maybe be able to come in behind NCSU. NCSU will have to make their way down the hill right into the loving open arms of the likes of Louisiana State down in the compound below, along with UBC. And then all the while, Concordia doing what they can to hold on the farm, still up as a full squad, 5 kills on the board, 2-2 split.
You know, Pseudo Void actually may be able to take advantage of the situation as NCSU has kind of moved back. Oh, and as I say that, he gets a knock on Wolf and gets the finish. Alabama being back there is something that Winlow and Beck have to pay attention to. And this could actually go from good situation to bad situation for NCSU real fast.
It definitely could. They can't really spread themselves too quickly. But indeed, the knockdown comes on from Regimes onto Pseudo Void, giving them a little bit more space to play with, and now they can focus their attentions on towards the University of Alabama. Although as the Blue Zone is closing in, Phase 5 is going to expose itself up. Is it going to stay up north? Is it going to go down south towards the farm area? It kind of centrals up in between the two, so it's not going to be too big of a distance for NCSU if they do leave it a little bit late to move into the circle and take this fight on to Alabama. Indeed, that's exactly what they're doing. CMB gets chunked down to a little bit of health, followed by Ginger Jesus. Kazu still has full health in his sightlines. That flank from Ginger Jesus has to become effective onto NCSU if they're going to survive. CMB gets dropped down to the floor. Kazu is going to be close by. Will he be able to get that revive off? I don't know, because NCSU are pushing forward with Beck and Regimes. Beck gets the knockdown onto Kazu. That's going to be the double knockdown, the double kill. Ginger Jesus is going to be surviving just for a sliver of a second, but indeed, down he goes, and Alabama get wiped out by NCSU.
And NCSU was actually helped out here by FSU, which kind of helped Ginger Jesus. He tried to rotate Diaz there instead of pushing it. I feel like, once again, it's kind of a situation in which you need to be a little bit aggressive, put pressure on the other team, as opposed to letting them dictate the situation to you, which caught Alabama out, in which they made good decisions there and were in good position.
It was a pretty half decent rotation up on towards the west side and the northwest side, but they tried to be too clever, and in my opinion, they kind of paid the price. And we do see Louisiana State have a player knocked down. That's Vince Cicelli from UBC. So UBC are doing what they can to try and hold on to this game. They sent one of their players forward into the circle on the previous phase, so I had them, kind of have a little bit of a security plan inside this circle, but the Blue Zone's closing in, and Regimes gets a knockdown onto Megastar.
Yeah, they had the position there, but they were too far spread apart there up top in order to capitalize on NCSU, the vulnerability in that situation. As I said, we see Big Penguin move up a little bit to get inside the circle, as he is able to knock and finish Shabs. It looks like, though, are they going to be able to get Garou? I don't think that it's going to be possible, as they're being held at bay by UBC on the south side with Beast. And Penguin's not really in a position to do a whole lot there, as he's unsure of who's there north. Wow! What a play!
Beast with the grenade! Beast with the grenade! Just Kuzi left standing, but British Columbia go down, and Louisiana State annihilated them, and that speaks for itself. Nicely done by Louisiana State.
As they say on Reddit,
now
name
hold on to the
checks
Western
out.
Edge. Yep, name checks out. Incredible stuff. That's the thing. Grenades, they can just be that opener you need, right? You don't always have to focus on that kind of scoping and getting that knock. You chuck a grenade, they knew exactly where UBC were, and hey, they made it count. So nice,
like an icebreaker with a conversation, It's how you start it, right? And then you go from there. It dishevels players, and then you can turn the tables real fast in that moment.
I swear to God, I really love your comparison. It's so good, man. Like, I've never ever thought of a grenade opening to a fight as an icebreaker.
Oh yeah, it's a real conversation starter. As we see that, it looks like Big Penguin has actually spotted out NCSU, as two of them are knocked. They're in a bad situation. On the other side, although FSU hasn't really put too much pressure on them, but I think it was just enough keeping shots to keep them occupied. Big Penguin was able to come up and take advantage. As I say that, Gribbles is able to get a knock on the Chad. A lot of the Chad now, and our first place team here is just waiting to take advantage of FSU rotating in.
Zez Games is just gonna kind of go around Concordia, but he's gonna be going into loving open arms of Alabama. So not Alabama, St. Ambrose, my apologies, but St. Ambrose are going to be eliminated at the hands of, I believe, Midwest. So Midwest is a two-man team holding on to Sniper Tower, making that work in their favor. Arizona State do get taken out in the end at the hands of Concordia. Concordia are still up as a full squad. 5 teams left in this game. You've got Crop from Rochester holding on for dear life inside that tiny shack. LSU have a two-man team, but they're kind of a little bit split apart. And then you have NCSU up as a two-man team down the hill inside the circle.
Yeah, I mean, and Midwest hasn't really moved a whole lot, right? They've been in that one Harry Potter tower, and they've kind of just hold steady. Oh, it looks like Crop is able to take out Big Penguin in that situation. Wow, I am surprised that he was it. You know, I just felt like Penguin and Beast were really just putting pressure in and taking out players left and right here. But G's on Crop for holding off that.
Yeah, he has to kind of, hold things off, right? And when you have one of the few kind of shacks inside this phase 6, phase 7, you got to hold on to it for dear life. But now as the circle does shift down towards the southwest, the members of Midwest, should I say, are down on the southwest side of this circle, firmly in their grasp as Concordia. They do have to move away from that farm compound now as a full squad into this phase 7 circle.
Yeah, I liken the shacks to kind of like a hermit crab. If you got like people in there, right? You know when they say like other hermit crabs try to like take the shells of like other ones, and you gotta fight them off. You pop out, and you're like, no, this one's taken, like occupied, kind of like. And Crop was able to have to fend off that other hermit looking for a shell, and now he will live to survive another day. As it looks like Concordia's gonna have to rotate in, but I feel like they're in a good position here with the hills here. Just enough cover in which they could kind of play it out a little bit longer. There's no real rush here.
Yeah.
They got vehicles in which they can move up and use them as cover.
Yeah, and because St. Ambrose were taken out by Midwest earlier on, although Mourns and Flashy along with Sneak Attack, no, not Sneak Attack, I mean Cool Pepper are going to push in onto that Sniper Tower. The shots are going to come through from Beast. Actually gets a little bit of a third party onto Flashy. That kill is going to be confirmed by Beast. So that puts two-man team of Concordia inside that Sniper Tower. Cool Pepper is going to get knocked down, but Midwest do indeed get eliminated at the hands of Mourns with a backstab from Sneak Attack. So that was nicely executed by Concordia. Yes, they didn't know they were going to get caught out by Beast of Louisiana State, but I love the fact that they were consistent on that attack onto Midwest and grabbing hold of that Sniper Tower.
Right, they knew they had to do something in that moment as the circle was there, and they didn't have enough. They didn't have enough cover where they were, and so they made the decision. Definitely. They pushed in, and they were able to take advantage of it, and they come away with just losing one member in that. And honestly, because Crop and NCSU and Beast like having line of sights on each other, they weren't focused on by any of the other groups. And they come away in a much better position.
Definitely. We do lose Louisiana State. Sneak Attack gets the final blow. A little bit of a revenge attack on the Beast. We're down to the final 3 teams. 2-man team of North Carolina. You got a 3-man team of Concordia and a 1 final player of Rochester. I will point out that Crop was able to get a crate drop and level 3 gear with the Groza. So that could be the difference maker, even though he's on his own. Although now, as phase 8 did pop up, he is away from the circle and he is somewhat out in the open. How much?
And he has no more smokes. He has no more smokes.
No more smokes.
And only 1 molly, so he's in a really tough position here. I guess all that depends on how much pressure that Concordia is going to put on NCSU, and can Crop sneak away as they are. Oh, he's actually going to choose to take out Sneak Attack from across the way. I've never seen such a dangerous hermit crab before. And he is. Oh wow, he got Sneak Attack down to just. Oh, I'm sorry, not just anything. Sneak Attack is gone. Oh, and as I say that, it looks like Crop is going to die to the ring. He's going to choose to deny. And after we see that, I am surprised that back end regimes were able to actually get there on a bike. And this is actually going to be quite interesting what we have here.
Sniper Tower 2-2 push between these final two teams. Ray Jean's going to be the first player to get knocked down on towards the low ground. Beck is going to get the kill onto Cool Pepper, and he turns around and gets the final kill. He gets the 1v2 against Concordia and closes out the
Culpepper
chicken dinner
drops
for
down
the
with his-
North Carolina
He had his
State.
back to him. He basically, it was like something you see in a movie where you drop down and the player moves behind and you're like looking like, and you can't, like something you see in a cartoon that was just, oh my
Wow.
gosh. How,
That switch, that turn. Insane stuff coming out from NCSU, and I gotta say, that was the perfect way to play that because they knew they were out in the open. They knew that they were kind of outside the circle. They got rid of the third party potential from Rochester. They had the full send on that bike, and even though Ray James took a little bit of damage initially, it was just perfectly executed because it was all or nothing. It was do or die, and that paved the way. It was, hey, look, maybe Concordia got caught out a tiny bit. They weren't really expecting it, but at the end of the day, that turnaround, that switch around, that 1v2 by Beck, mwah.
that's just bad. I mean, and not only that, but just such horrible luck there in that situation. When it comes to dropping down like that, considering that they got the initial knock, right? They had the initial knockdown, and they were aggressive.
Fair.
And Culpepper drops out the window, and he just is. He must have been like millimeters outside of his peripheral vision, right, of the field of view there. The way he looked, because he was looking straight, and then like went to look in the window there, not seeing Beck there, and I cannot.
Yeah. I'm actually genuinely super curious of kind of Cool Pepper's perspective in the final moments, and I might even shoot him a message and kind of what happened in your eyes, because the way I looked at it, at least from my perspective, observing, is that he jumped out the window and he had a clean shot onto Beck, where Beck was in front of him and Beck's back was against Cool Pepper, and I don't know how Beck was able to get that kill, that switch shot, but I'm curious to know what happened with Cool Pepper in that final moments. But it was such a well-deserved win by NCSU, and overall it's been in my opinion, a very strong day from NCSU.
Yeah, and I'm actually glad we're on a delay so I can actually watch that again
That's
when it
true.
comes up. Thankfully, it actually has been an extremely strong day from NCSU, and they've closed the gap. But so has Rochester to a degree. As we've seen they've closed the gap just a little bit. Will it be enough? I can't say that it could be, considering that it's still like around 40 points from what we've seen, right? That they're down in that situation at the very least, and I don't think you're gonna be able to make that up in just 4 more games, right?
No, I think it is possible. I think it is possible to make up in the next 4 games.
Well, Concordia would have to have the worst day.
To be honest, they didn't have the best of days today. Let's be fair. They didn't. It wasn't the same Concordia that we saw in the first 2-3 weekends. Let's be fair. And last week, should I say, they didn't even, as far as I remember, they didn't even secure a chicken dinner. So I'm not saying that Concordia are slipping down, but maybe we're seeing teams get closer to them around them, right? So that it automatically becomes harder. Teams are adapting to Concordia's play style a little bit more, right? They're matching Concordia. So it's a little bit harder for Concordia to get those dominant victories. And, they performed better today, but it wasn't, again, there was mistakes there that makes me think that they can lose that first place in next week's final week and final 4 games. So I definitely think it's going to be pretty spicy, and let's see what NCSU can do.
Yeah, I mean, it still seems to be like a lot of points to cover.
Fair.
Like 40 points, and they would have to get so very little in that situation.
The points are updated, by the way. The points are updated.
The points are updated.
Yeah.
Oh, and so it is. I mean, you have what, 37? So NCSU now is 37 points behind They've actually opened up a wider gap on Rochester with that last game. I think actually helping out a
Okay,
lot, considering that
so-
Rochester was,
I don't think Rochester can do it, to be perfectly honest. But North Carolina can, because looking at the kind of mathematics of it, they're 37 points behind up until this point. NCSU's average points per game is 10.75. If they hit that average and Concordia falter next week, yeah,
okay.
NCSU
I'm not
can
going to bet on that, considering that what Concordia's average points per game are so far.
Fair.
I would like to point out though that you cannot ever count out the current champs, which is NCSU from season 6. And so therefore you have to give them the benefit of the doubt in this situation.
Yeah.
That being said, I did really like to play with Central Florida today, despite what it may have seemed like after game 2. I think they did really well. I think that the last game was just so chaotic. I mean,
yeah,
I can't remember so many times where in competitive games in which just a compound just is the fighting in like by so many teams, just one after another coming in and just it. And it kind of actually carried over from game 3, right? Where it was like with Berkeley
a little bit.
and with that one thing,
Yeah.
it's like it was like a theme. I don't know what like.
Well, at least with game 3, that was more the late stages of the game, so it kind of made sense. Whereas this was the early part of the last game, right? You know, that kind of shouldn't have happened. But hey, look, it was what it was, and it was damn entertaining. I'll tell you that much.
Right. I mean, I didn't mind it, although, I mean, especially the way that you giggled at Span when she was killed. I think that you thoroughly enjoyed that. Sorry, Span. That's that's Imperium.
Not in a bad way, but it's
right,
just
not
like,
in a bad way.
It's just like, because it's entertaining, and
Oh,
when I know
absolutely.
that when I know the kind of chat is going to be like going, what the hell is going on? That's kind of what brings the little bit of laughter out of me, because I'm just kind of like, this is crazy, and I also at times don't really know how to respond, so it's just kind of like, I'll just laugh a little and just enjoy.
Sometimes
what's
it's
in front
you're
of me.
lost for words, and you're just like,
Yeah.
100%. I mean, kind of like at the end there, that game, lost for words. That being said, before we go, I would like to shout out the sponsors once again. One, I'll just say NACL. We really, really appreciate at NACL and that for sponsoring this season 7 and for providing the top 8 teams with invitation to the NACL Collegiate PUBG Championships and a $1,000 cash scholarship prize pool. Players in NACL Collegiate PUBG Grand Championships will face off for an audition for the English Premier League's Wolverhampton Wanderers professional esports team, Wolves Esports PUBG division. Make sure also to visit playnacl.com for upcoming esports tournaments. Keep up with NACL on Instagram at play.nacl and Twitter at playnacl. Also, check out their website, playnacl.com. Purchase of one of their pink hoodies to help support not only the research, but awareness of breast cancer, as that is something that affects us all, whether you are male or female. We all know of someone who has been either affected by it or know of people that in our lives that they have been affected by themselves. It is something that is for a very good cause, and we appreciate you checking out their website and checking out the pink hoodies. That being said, Imperium, why did you laugh at Span like that? This is not right, man. That is just not right. I'm just kidding. I don't want to start trash. Even though I do a little bit. But final thoughts for today.
Genuinely one of the most entertaining weeks that we've had. And also overall with that, one of the best games that we've had, that Miramar game, I really, really enjoyed it. So happy to see Florida execute that kind of beautiful game. Concordia do come into the final week, on a bit of a hairy note, considering how strong they looked early on, and then NCSU just continue to kind of pile of pressure, not only on Concordia, but kind of all the teams in this lobby looking very strong coming into the final week.
Yeah, I would like in the final week. I would like some of the teams that I've seen like very good like rotations and I have enjoyed some of the rotations. And that being able to see them be a little bit more aggressive. We saw with like Alabama there, right? I would like to see Alabama actually, be like, hey, we made this, because they made smart choices. A couple times I was like, I like the way they're thinking here. Now you just need to put the, I guess, boots on. I don't like the term boots on the ground, but like, put the same effort into the taking the fight aspect of it, and that other side of it, right? Who else? Like I feel like Cincinnati, everyone like had some good ideas at one point. They ran into some trouble, obviously. But also you could say the same thing. Southeastern played very well today. I even liked a few choices that Ontario made, although they got in situations where a couple of games where they were in fights earlier and a mistake here or there led to them like going out. But I hope that coming next week is that we will get to see more of these teams and see, since it is the last week, see more, a little bit of that extra aggression, like play all out, like, what do we have to lose here?
Yeah, definitely. But it's going to be exciting. And yeah, let's see what we have coming into final week.
Absolutely. And on that note, Slans, you need us to say anything else here? You guys can't hear Slans, but we can hear him. He's shy. Okay, he said we can close out. And on that note, we appreciate everyone for tuning in for this week of Collegiate PUBG Season 7. And we appreciate everyone's support. And we appreciate the players for competing and entertaining us, making us laugh, making us think, making us better at PUBG ourselves. Well, maybe not me, but probably Imperium. He's good at that. On that note, Imperium, we'll see you next week.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.